Okay. Okay. Hello, good old roll. You're early, but I guess I'm, just according to my clock, I'm a minute early. But is everything, can you hear everything and all that? Can you see everything? Am I live? Toot, 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 toot. I hope so. Okay, I have my morning tea. And, I guess here we go, right? Assuming everything's working. All right, yay. Well, since you're the only one here, what do you want to talk about? Is that Eli Slim or Ellie Slim? I think Eli I'm going to go with. Good morning. Okay, waking up. Got a little bit of sleep last night, and I think I'm more or less functional. So, hi, John. And classics. Well, it's morning for me, but okay. I'm Eli. Am I saying that right? JS25. Well, good morning from me. Good evening to you. Yes, everything is more or less well. Yeah. And Dan the Man. Hi, Dan the Man. I am doing well. Glad you made it. Welcome to the live stream. So it's a Sunday morning. Maybe I should come up with themes for the Sunday morning broadcast, right? You know what I mean? It'd be like the Church of ASMR or something like that. I don't know. Hey. Wake up, Bill. Okay, so I still have the paintbrush. So in case, I can do this thing. Here it is. Brushing the mics. People seem to like that last night. Just so I have something to do while, I don't have anything to talk about. Try not to leave dead air and all that. I think I'm going to try and be less speedy in my speech. See if I can slow down and be kind of mellow. You know what I mean? Kind of be relaxed on a Sunday morning. Oh, I thought I could try this, yeah? This is my my pick jar, or one of my pick jars, where I keep medium-sized picks. Let's see what I have here. There's I guess a Dunlop. What is this? This is, I guess they call this a Dunlop Heavy, but, to me it's a medium. Anyway. Yeah, I guess it doesn't make that good of a noise, does it? Anyway, it's worth a try. Okay, so JS25 is getting colder. Well, I suppose the break of a heat wave is good, but is it getting too cool for your liking, or is it, more or less groovy for your comfort level? Hopefully it's, groovy. We all want people to be comfortable as much as possible. I say we all. I'm speaking for everybody, I guess, in that moment. But I don't think anybody here wants to have any animosity towards anybody else, right? We want to be cool and groovy sort of situation, right? What else could I do as far as making ASMR-ish noises? I know some people actually like the slurpy drinky noises. Is anybody here liking the slurpy drinky noises? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry that you caught the cold, man, but hopefully you can just shake it off, you know. Do the healthy things, you know, drink the fluids, take care of yourself, get the rest, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know if you have a particularly favorite cold remedy sort of thing, but depending on how crummy I feel, I like to, you know, maybe use a NyQuil sort of a thing just to kind of not feel so crappy and get sleep. Just sort of sleep it off is usually my strategy. Silvio the Wolf. Well, you're welcome, Silvio. Glad you like the stuff. Welcome to the live stream. How is your world where you're at? And, you know, well, where are you at? Where is everybody at? If you, you know, I know some of you are over in the you know, the GMT time, which puts you guys, you know, evening time, right? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be the appealing thing, at least to a degree, right? I mean, I guess it's not really bedtime, but, you know, sort of, I don't know, maybe some people go to bed that early because, well, you guys are a good bit north of us. I mean, quite a bit north of us, right? I think people often forget how far north Europe is. I mean, what, south of France is kind of a similar latitude to Minnesota, you know what I mean? Which is pretty north for us. So how dark is it there already? Oops, there was something there from Silvio. Said something about New York. You know, here, I wonder, I'm going to try a little experiment here just because, you know, why not? Right? So I think I've showed these off before. This is my, I have two sets of these, although I'm not sure where the other one's at. They're the little Chinese. Oh, I see, New York City, yeah, 3 hours ahead of me, right? So there's these things, yeah. Oh, what a crummy camera angle for me to do it at, but here. Does that sound decent over there? It's weirdly difficult for me to do it at a strange angle like this, but maybe I should do, can I do it kind of, Okay, starting to fade, but still sunshine. Yeah, a little bit. Right on. You know, I kind of like that evening time, the fading light. That can be kind of a really pleasant time of day, you know. When I lived in San Diego, I especially liked it down at the beach, especially because you could, you know, have any of you guys seen the green flash before? Where, you know, go to the beach and see the sun, and it's sort of an after image kind of weird thing that goes on. It has to do with the way the light bends as the sun goes around and switching from red to green kind of thing. I don't remember the whole physics, neurological, whatever the hell's going on, but I remember reading a thing about it many years ago. There used to be, I wonder if it's still there, there used to be kind of a bar, well, kind of a bar, bar restaurant sort of thing, down on, if I remember correctly, it was on the PB Boardwalk, Pacific Beach. That was called the Green Flash, yeah, and it was, you know, had seating that was right there at the boardwalk, so you could, look over the boardwalk and the beach. And, they call it a boardwalk, but it's cement, concrete sort of thing. So I don't know if it was ever actual wood, thus, being a true boardwalk, or whether they just use it because that's the name everybody uses for a walkway along the kind of a promenade, I guess, along the beach. If I remember correctly, Santa Cruz's boardwalk is actually still a boardwalk. I might be remembering that wrong. But they still have well, last time I was there, which is quite a while ago, maybe 20 years ago or so, they had a wooden roller coaster still. Actually, they have an old one down at Mission Beach, too, in San Diego, but I don't know if it's operational right now. Maybe I'll bring out the balls a little bit later. Okay, sunsets are nice. Yeah, there was an eclipse. It didn't, where I live, nothing happened. I suppose I could have probably gone out with my binoculars and figured out a way of, trying to see it, with some polarizing lenses thing or whatever. I just don't have any kind of thing like that for my binoculars, or, I don't know. I used to have a friend. We've sort of just faded, from each other's company. But he was pretty well off financially, and it was a habit of his. He chased the eclipses, so pretty much every year he would go wherever it was at its peak, so that he could, be there and see the whole darkness thing. Well, maybe not every year, because there's places it's going to be like out in the middle of the ocean or something like that. But any place that he could get to by taking a plane, It was pretty amazing. He would bring pictures back and stuff, and I was always a little jealous just because it's seems really cool. I've never actually seen. It just here in California a couple of times, or at least once, I guess. It got dim-ish, you know what I mean? But it really didn't get the complete darkness thing. So I would like to experience that sometimes. My understanding that it's really quite the thing, and everything gets really quiet, animals and stuff just go whoopsie daisy. Everything kind of just quiets down. And that would be really cool. I could imagine how people who lack the sophistication to understand, the solar system, how that would they'd go, wow, something supernatural, right? Just because, lacking a better explanation, what are you going to do, Still trying to wake up, I guess, a little bit. Is that Todd Te or Todd Te? Good morning. I'm glad you like the beard. I like it too. Otherwise I wouldn't be growing it, right? And I had brushed it out a little bit this morning just to keep it from getting too rat nestish. I don't know. Does the beard noise come through at all? I don't know. Here, I can brush the mic with it a little bit. It's kind of a little silly, but what the hell? Does anybody have any burning topics of curiosity or questions, an FAQ sort of thing anybody would like to ask? You spelt your name wrong. Well, what was it supposed to be? And how would you like me to address you, I guess is the thing. If you could give me a sort of a little phonetic breakdown. I'd like to be able to, that's the other thing. If I ever screw up anybody's names, or you'd like me to refer to you in a different way, please just, set me straight. I'm not going to, mind that sort of thing. Actually, I would prefer it. I want, that's kind of, well, I know I didn't say it yet this morning, but aloha siblings. My name is Bill, and my pronouns are he, him, and his, I want to be able to address people appropriately. Toasty or Tosty? Either one's fine, I guess, for me, but, you know, what do you prefer? Long O, O, or short O, ah, right? I'm sure there's other, yeah, there are other vowel sounds, I just don't know. I took this course in linguistics once, and it was actually more about storytelling and myth and this sort of thing in language, but they did spend a fair amount of time just talking about odd linguistic stuff in general, like that's like a guy did a study that sort of was comparing color terms to an ordering, like a mathematical ordering, and because apparently it's a thing, like, you know, languages tend to have, I think, like the first things are, you know, black and white, and then red, and then you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, oh, but the reason I brought it up is there's all these little symbols about all the various vowel and mouth sounds that they symbolize them, and it's supposed to, well, it's odd symbols, but it's to represent all the odd shapes of the mouth and all of that. Okay, I'll call you Jackson. I will try to remember that. So what are my thoughts on transhumanism, JS25 says. You know, I'm fine with it. I think humans should do whatever humans are happy with. I'm not terribly interested in augmenting myself or changing myself in any, you know, sort of surgical manner. But I think people should be, you know, well, here's the thing. These things have to be cautionary to a degree, because what comes to mind is plastic surgery type things. Well, like Joan Rivers, for example, I think she was a little too obsessed with the plastic surgery thing, and I think that just people who get unhealthily obsessed with, you know, kind of they're chasing some sort of perfect image of themselves, and it's just such an unrealistic, you know, image in their head that they're chasing something they can't ever get. And so I think people might fall into a similar trap with a transhumanism thing. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, but you know, I'm fine with people doing whatever the hell they want, you know, just as long as they're not actually harming themselves in a deep psychological manner. You know, and I would caution people against, you know, making sure you don't rob yourself of abilities or things like that. But you know, otherwise, let people do what people want to do. I mean, okay, so here's my perspective on even things like drug use. Like the Portuguese thing, it's my understanding that they've completely taken criminalization out of it, that they approach any kind of drug abuse as a complete medical problem. And I'm the same way. Like, people should be able to do whatever they want. Like, I'm even fine with motorcyclists not wearing helmets. I would think they should, and they're silly and stupid to not wear a helmet. And, you know, we should maybe chastise them a little bit, like, look, you moron, when they actually get in a wreck and bang themselves up. But the end of the day is like, you give them the care they need, and you let them do what they need to do. You know, I mean, it's frustrating for everybody else, but, you know, I don't know. I think that's just the best way forward for humans. Anyway, sorry to babble on about such potentially downer things, but is that little Venom or Vinum? Yes, I am well. Glad to see you too. Welcome to the live stream. You know, I hope it won't annoy you guys too much. I'm going to go pop this in the microwave just because I've let it, I just sipped on it too slowly and it's too cool for my taste. Wow, that's really loud, isn't it? Well, hopefully it's not too off-putting for you guys, but kind of a strange wiggle pattern on the meters. But I prefer my tea to be hot. And there we go. Much better. Jeremy, hey, how's it going, man? And 12 a.m. for you? Wow, okay, right on. Well, yeah, people are, maybe we'll liven up. There's only 12 of you guys now. And how many of you are here for the first time for a live stream? And, if you are, welcome, absolutely. And feel free to chime in with anything. Yeah, here's the thing, only caveats. I'm not going to talk about any of the current political negativities, whether it's due to, American politics or international stuff or any of that. Jeremy says, you're currently playing a game. Doing decent. Well, good, right on, man. Glad you're doing decent. Decent is better than, something less. What game, if you don't mind my asking, just because I'm nosy, Oh, here's a question. Do any of you guys create ASMR for yourself? I mean, do you have your own channel? If so, let me know. I think it's worth having, giving people shout outs and the like. Or any kind of content creation. It doesn't have to be ASMR. I'm absolutely happy to, amplify anybody's efforts creatively, man. This is the thing, right? We all want to be, helping each other out, right? Okay. So Jackson is, you're new and subscribed. Fantastic, man. Welcome. I'm glad you've subscribed. That's fantastic. Thank you. And okay, so football game, right on. Do you do any, does the football game allow you to do any weird trick plays? When I was a younger person, then I used to watch NFL fairly frequently, like when I was like up to maybe high school age. Yeah, because my freshman years, I still lived up here. And yeah, I was a Raiders fan just because I lived in the Bay Area on the East Bay, so that that's what it was. But I would watch a fair amount of NFL, but I always liked it when they pulled out some kind of weird trick play and just sort of surprised everybody. That was always kind of exciting. I always found that really cool. Anyway, let's get back to the comments here. Sarah, hello. Yeah, hello again. And okay, for mics. Okay, so I have two sets of mics that I use that I'm quite pleased with, and they're both not super expensive, but they are paired. One of them are the Behringer, I think they're called C4. They're the little, here I'll show them to you. They come in this little box here. They're what's called a small diaphragm condenser. I prefer condenser mics, so I'm biased in that manner. And so they're often called Pencilmiks, although this is not very long, so I don't know if that's really an apt description for them. But see, that's their front address, right? So you talk into it that way. And they're cardioid, so they do a fair amount of rejection from the back. They're really good for me anyway. I'd like them for doing whisper stuff because small diaphragm mics seem to respond well to what are called transients, the high speed, like for, particularly used for musical stuff like cymbals and things like that. They're good at capturing that. So I think they're really good for whisper stuff. And these were pretty inexpensive. I think the pair was like not even $100, I don't think. So they're pretty cheap, which is why I bought them. But I find them to be, well worth the prices. I mean, you can certainly get way more expensive ones that have lower internal noise and that kind of thing. But and I will probably, buy a better pair at some point, just because of that, because they're not super noisy, but they're not the most quiet either. And otherwise, they're not on camera, and I don't want to tweak with all this stuff right now. But here, you know what I can do? Give me a quick sec. This will work. We'll give it a go. I have this little mirror. Maybe I can get it so that the camera can see the mics here. Will it actually show them? No, I can't really get a good. Well, there you go. You can kind of see the. Oop, this way, Bill. There you go. See, they look kind of like that, right? Those are AKGs. P420 is the model number. They're, I think, I think they're less than $200 for the pair. They don't really sell them as a matched pair. I just bought two of them to go together. But I think they're only like 100 and something. Well, maybe it's more like closer to 300 for the pair, maybe somewhere like that. But you know, regardless, I would suggest diaphragm mics if you're just going to get one and you want to do the proximity thing, so you can like get up close and do that. To get any kind of resonance out of your voice, large diaphragm mics like these AKGs are better. But if you want to do the whispery things, I find that the small diaphragm mics work better. You know, a lot of people get a good success out of those blue microphones, and they're not terribly expensive. Yeah, you know, I mean, yeah, just so there you go. Just, you know, there's the thing. Just go to someplace like Sweetwater, and they have little package deals for like if you don't already have an interface. I mean, that's how I started. I went and bought the Focusrite sort of entry level, although it was, you know, maybe there's one cheaper, but it's the cheapest 2-channel because I wanted to be able to do it stereo. And it sort of came with a mic, you know, so I had to, you know, get other mics to be able to do stereo eventually. But yeah, you can get sort of a basic package deal with a set of headphones, an interface, and a decent mic. I would say go ahead and start with that. You know, and I would suggest buying mics from a musical place rather than an electronics place. You know what I mean? Because they're selling stuff that's aimed at people who actually have some knowledge about doing recording, even if it's, you know, low-end stuff. I mean, I think you're going to get better stuff from someplace like that. Although I would recommend Sweetwater over Guitar Center just because I've had bad experience with the Guitar Center, so that's just my own personal preference. But, you know, your results may vary. Well, there's one thing I'll say. I mean, I don't have any kind of a relationship officially with Sweetwater, but like, for example, I bought a pair of JBL monitors, studio monitors, and they're sort of like the entry-level bottom rung pro, like bottom rung pro, top of the lines, you know, consumer type thing. A lot of people use the word prosumer. I quite like them. Anyway, I got them, and there was an issue with there's a little bit of hummy distortion thing going on at upper end of human voice range. I don't remember the precise frequency range, but it was just it was not good. It was not. Anyway, so I, you know, contacted them, and anyway, they took care of it right away, instantly, no questions asked. Just here, we'll send you a tag, send them back, and we'll send you a new one out. And they sent the new one out before I even shipped the defective one back. You know what I mean? Their customer service is just top notch. And everything I bought from them, I've been happy with. So, I mean, even my EVH guitar, that was an impulse buy. I didn't play that guitar at all. I just wanted to buy a Floyd Rose guitar, and or a guitar with a Floyd Rose bridge, right? So, you know, I figured the EVH, Eddie Van Halen, right? Who better to, you know, come on. It's, you know, he's the guy, at least back in the day, with the using the whammy bar. Anyway, so there you go. Yeah, you know, that's another thing, Sarah. If you have the opportunity to go into a store and be firm with yourself, don't let them sell you something that you're not, you know, don't let them, you know, bully you. Sometimes music stores do that, but ask them to, you know, hey, show me some stuff. Let me, you know, plug it into, you know, like some kind of system so that you could talk into it, listen to headphones, and maybe even let them, you know, let you use some sort of recording device so you can actually, you know, test it out. You know what I mean? Yeah, if you have the opportunity, by all means, go do that. Make sure that you're comfortable with your purchase, right? I mean, I bought the mics I bought because I have, you know, a certain amount of musical experience, and so I kind of knew what I wanted and was looking for. You know what I mean? So I could kind of go, oh, I know what that is, you know, from previous experience. So anyway, there you go. I hope it. I encourage you to do it, man. Make art. You know, whether it's ASMR or anything else, man. Make art. You know, I think that's a beautiful thing. I encourage everybody to make art. Okay, hang on, let me get to Okay, JS25 says he never made ASMR. Oh, okay. Well, think about it. Be mindful of it, and if you have any aspirations for doing it, man, I encourage you to do it, man. And if any of you do get a channel, let me know. I'll absolutely amplify it. And, here's the thing I've been thinking of doing, because some people have asked me about doing reactions, and I don't really want to get into doing the music reaction thing so much, just because I don't want to play the monetization game with the. I just don't want to get into that. Yes, I don't. But here's the thing I would like to do is do reactions to other ASM artists. So I've been thinking about maybe just reaching out to some people of interest and go, hey, I'd like to do a reaction to your videos. How do you feel about that? And would you like think? Is there something you would like me to react to, and some things that you would say, hey, please don't react to that. That kind of thing. Just because back in the day, the glory days of YouTube, before Alphabet decided to, get their monkey fingers into it, and I don't know. I'm just nostalgic for that, time period. Back when you had the capacity to do reaction videos, response videos, I guess is what they called them. That was a way of us being able to, promote community and react to each other, and I guess you could do it now, and you could say, hi, I'm reacting to blah, 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 blah. But the idea that there was a mechanism that built in the thread, I thought was really, really good. So I don't know, maybe, me doing reaction videos. What do you guys think about that? Anyway, there you go. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Well, when you get your stuff going and you have some content, reach out and let me know, right? Anyway. So I think this might be a good thing to do tapping on, yeah? Is that kind of too loud? I wonder how it would do to use this end, less brushing and more kind of. That's kind of a nice end in the room. How's that for you guys? Cool, interesting. Am I a movie guy? Okay, hang on. I think I missed a couple of things. Okay, J's25, let me know how it's going, man, for the band stuff. That's really cool. Yay, make music, man. That's fantastic. Am I a movie guy? What Halloween movies? I'm not a huge fan of the kind of the horror jump scare-ish, scary movie thing, with the pretty girl always running or everybody screaming at the screen. No, don't go in there. That kind of thing. It just doesn't. The only movies along that kind of horror genre that I've ever really enjoyed were like Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2. I like those movies. Mostly just because of the over-the-top sense of humor of them. And I'm trying to think of any other ones that I really quite like. Otherwise, my tastes run to like Hitchcock suspense, especially Rear Window. And not so much suspense, but excitement. I like To Catch a Thief. But yeah, I'm more of a. I lean more towards that kind of thing when it comes to that type of music or movie. trying to think, is there anything else? Nothing's coming to mind. I'm sure there's probably some horror movie that I've seen way back in the day that was probably okay that I just am not remembering. Anyway. Yeah, I think in the future I should try to make sure that the mics get into the shot somehow. Except the only problem is that that makes them, like, the reason they're where they're at now is that it's a good distance for me to comfortably be able to use them, you know, so I don't feel so crowded. Maybe I'll try to find a better way of doing that. Like maybe I'll put them up higher at a different angle, you know, as far as the dress goes, and you know, maybe I could, because see, that would be, they're still kind of, they're like right at the edge there, aren't they? I could maybe, I don't know. I'll play with that next time for, positioning of stuff before. Because it just seems to me, I was just realizing I kind of like seeing when people do stuff like mic brushing to actually see what's going on rather than it just being hidden. Although maybe it being hidden might be good for some people, Well, let me know how it is for you guys. I don't mind. I'm not going to get butthurt if you think it sucks, Just let me know, right? I'm not adverse to criticism as long as it's constructive. Although I think, for the most part, I think, I kind of have I got lucky and I kind of attract a particular good, subscription group because, like, almost all of my videos have really, good, like ratios, like in the 90, high 90%, you know what I mean? So, I guess people who don't like me just, they go running off and don't bother, which is fine. Yeah, because it just makes me happy knowing that you guys like what I do, right? Because I'm doing this for, because I got motivated to make ASMR because I enjoy ASMR, and it was always a good thing for me, just in general, but then when I found it on YouTube, it was just like, wow, this is fantastic. And it has been like times when I've been upset or unhappy or just needing to wind down or something like that, And plus, sometimes it's like, for me, tingles is almost sort of like a druggish sort of thing, right? It's like, ooh, I want to get some tingles, you know what I mean? But since people create so much stuff, and that was so useful for me, I kind of felt like it would be good for me to, at least attempt to give back. And people like my voice, so here we are, But, I'm not adverse to trying to do more stuff. It's just most people seem to basically be drawn to the timbre of my voice. So I tend to lean into that. Oh, but I'm ignoring my tea again. It's going to get cold. Yeah, I'm not going to zap it again. I'll just, if it gets cold, it gets cold. Yeah, I'd let it go too long, but yeah, no, that's okay. I'll just suffer with it, right? It's not that big a deal. So, since you asked E.G. about movies, what are some of your favorite movies? Make some suggestions. Maybe I will recognize them and go yay or nay or whatnot, and maybe other people will react and chime in, right? It looks like if we're looking at the view count and the little graph thing or whatever, it's looks like it's got up above 15 but not up to 20, and currently 12 people. Oop, just dropped. I lost 2 people. Oh no. Well. Okay, so JS25, there's a guy found. His name is Chico. Okay, well, there you go. If other people can, dig that human, see, what you guys think of him. Thanks for the idea there, JS25. Navigated or Naviated, greetings from the East Bay. East Bay here in the San Francisco Bay Area? Whereabouts? Because, I'm in Castro Valley. Yeah, it's interesting. I met actually one human here who was a friend of one of my nieces, who was somebody who watches my videos, and that was kind of an interesting thing to meet somebody in real life who, you know, had watched my videos and enjoyed them. Yeah, so that was really interesting. EG says, hit the like button, guys. You need to watch the classics like Friday the 13th. Haunting of the Hill House on Netflix. You know, I don't have Netflix anymore. I had to, well, being a poor, broke guy, I gave up, you know, I just couldn't afford it, so I gave it up. You know, occasionally I, you know, go watch it with other people, you know, but Prized Bull. Well, I'm glad you like my stuff, man. And you don't, oh, I see, don't use headphones. All right, I'm glad it comes okay, you know, as far as regular speakers. You know, truthfully, when I'm editing, I listen to stuff over my monitors. I do use headphones now and again, but I use, because I have, well, I have my monitor set up for being able to mix music. So I have a big set of speakers that I use. They have a nice pair of, you know, hi-fi speakers with a subwoofer, and I use those for, you know, they have they're a little warm on the bottom. Like the bottom end is it's you know, it's there and it's very present, and they have a good sound stage. But anyway, so I do those, and then I have my JBLs, and they're just more accurate. And then I have a pair that went with the hi-fi speakers as satellite speakers, but I've repurposed them as near fields. Anyway, so I use kind of a music strategy for trying to edit my stuff and listen to it back. And, you know, I don't know that I'm all that good at it yet, because ASMR is very different than music, you know. I think I'm getting better at it, though, and I'm glad you guys like it. So, and there's the thing, if I ever do anything that sucks, you know, by all means, let me know how and why, and I will see if I can address the issue. You know, because I want everybody to enjoy what's going on here. Anyway, Antioch, right on, man. Good to have you here. That's cool. And OK Commuter from Northern Ireland, right on. Hello. Hope your life is well over there. You know, I never made it over to Ireland when I visited the UK. So neither, you know, Northern or, you know, just the Republic of Ireland. I'd like to get to the island, though. It seems, you know, just from footage of things I've seen in movies and the like, it just seems like a beautiful place. I mean, as far as the greenery and just the landscape. And, oh, people have asked me about movies. What's it called? I think it's The Quiet Man is the title of the movie. It's a John Wayne film with Maureen O'Hara, and it's set in Ireland in a kind of a small village. He's a former boxer who killed a guy in the ring and decides to, you know, retire from being a prize fighter, and goes to where his family came from. I think he might have even been born there or something like that. Kind of, you know, the returning prodigal son kind of thing. And it's I like it. It's kind of a fun movie, but the footage of Ireland just makes it seem really, really, really appealing. Victor Delgado says, do I watch any sports? You know, we talked about that a little bit last night. I don't really watch much sports. I do have a fascination with human, you know, physical athleticism kind of stuff, but it's kind of finicky. You know what I mean? I'll find stuff on YouTube, and mostly stuff like track and field or swimming or gymnastics, kind of individual things. For whatever reason, that really appeals to me. But once in a while, I'll watch organized, you know, kind of team sports. You know, I used to play basketball on sort of a neighborhood park team for a while, and I kind of stopped because the league was dominated by the Catholic Youth Organization, and I wasn't part of that thing, and so I kind of just got, you know what I mean? Well, whatever. It's like I had it was a weird experience, and I kind of didn't enjoy it after a while, so I bailed. And then for a little bit, I also played soccer, but not in any league or anything, just sort of after school stuff. I wasn't terribly good at either, really. I was good enough to participate and enjoy myself, but I didn't have any kind of future in it or anything like that. I did used to do long distance running for quite a bit of time, and yeah, I enjoyed doing that. Getting into, especially actually get to the whole runner's high thing. That was really good. And then for a while I was into cycling, and I still cycle now and again. But and then for when I lived in San Francisco, I commuted using my bike. I don't have any kind of bike of note right now. It's just it's kind of a cobbled together thing. I had somebody gave me a mountain bike, but it ended up with a cracked frame, and so then I had this old bike that I bought at Costco actually, and so I took it to a shop, and they took out all the hardware and stuff from the mountain bike that was actually in decent shape and put it on it's kind of a street bike frame from Costco, and it worked well for commuting because not so much for going very fast because it wasn't really well geared for the high end, but it was very well geared for the low end. Like first gear was pretty low, which is good on the hills and stuff in San Francisco. So there's that. Yeah, so there you go on my idea of sports or my participation therein. Just 25, another random thought. I get is, did historical people have any thoughts about what life would be like now or how people would look at them in the future? I think a lot of people did, frankly. I think a lot of people considered the idea of their legacy. I think a lot of, there's the whole, the classical great man theory, kind of thing that, of history. I don't think it's a complete notion of history, and I'm glad that we've kind of gotten away from that if you actually want to do an academic study of history, because, where things actually happen is, people doing stuff, right? You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm certain that a lot of, quote unquote important people of the past, especially like if you think of industrialists here in the United States, they absolutely were mindful of what their legacy would be. Carnegie, it's, people such as that. Some of those guys were pretty ruthless when it came to doing business. They weren't necessarily what I would call a good human as far as those behaviors, but they wanted to not be remembered as being, horrible people. They were oppressive and, ruthless with money. They wanted to be viewed as people who supported the arts and had hospitals built and, like that, and I'm pretty certain that, big name people of history, like the Julius Caesars type people, I'm pretty sure they were mindful of having a legacy, I think, there's that whole, the projection of immortality and like why there's monuments and, this sort of thing. Of course, go back to Egypt, right? Those guys wanted to absolutely, be perceived as god kings and, this whole thing. But anyway, there's my take on that. I don't know, what do you think about it there, JS? Okay, Commuter says, okay, right on. That's the thing. I've often had the fantasy of being able to put together the financial means of kind of doing some world traveling with the idea of, meeting up with subscribers, you know what I mean? Kind of creating, kind of coming up with an idea of creating some events that, yeah. One thing that has come to mind, I just don't know how it would work, is actually trying to do a tour sort of thing. It would be kind of crummy because then it would mean I'd have to sell tickets, you know what I mean? But that would be the means of paying for it, I don't know. That's kind of oddball fantasy things. Like one thing I've thought about is just like, it would mean I'd have to have a certain amount of money at my disposal, but sort of winging it, right? Just going, okay, I'm here in the Bay Area. Where's, a place, are there any people here in the Bay Area? Let's meet up and do a thing. And then I would travel to the next closest place where there's a significant number of subscribers and just go to whatever town that was, and, just keep doing that as long as I could, financially do it, just sort of bounce around, hopefully even getting to go international, I think that would be a lot of fun. But, maybe who knows what the future holds. That would be kind of cool. Anyway, I'm glad that you would welcome me there, man. Thank you, okay, Commuter. And EG says, Jefferson biography. Yeah, see, yeah, see, there you go. It's confirmation of my suspicion, or my take on it. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Actually, I think it can be a good thing, because I think that can kind of keep people more humane. You know what I mean? If they're going to be like, how am I going to be perceived? Because sometimes people are aware, like I think a lot of the founding fathers knew that slavery was a horrible thing. Nonetheless, they participated in it because of the economic advantage. So I think, that's a rough thing, man, just because slavery as practiced in the United States, the whole chattel slavery thing, is particularly horrible, and it's a very, very dark part of American history. We have a few of those things. Well, anyway, I don't want to get into that. Let's stay out of negative politics things, please. That was my fault, so I'm sorry for having gone there at least a little bit. So, so what else could I do that would make a good noise? I thought the pick rattling would make a better noise. I don't know why, but it just didn't, did it? Or at least not for me. Although I'm not listening to it at your end, I'm just listening to it here in the room. So what else might I do in these moments of dead air that would be decent, sort of ASMR-ish? I have some bubble wrap from some stuff I'd unpacked recently that I haven't actually disposed of. So let me go do some popping of bubble wrap. I don't even remember what came in this. I just kind of set it aside. So sometimes I hang on to stuff like bubble wrap because it might be useful for keeping something in that's fragile. So anyway, here we go. Here's some bubble wrap. I like crinkly noises. Oh, that's one of my favorite videos. There was actually several of them. I think there's 3 of them that Maria did that were a crinkle shirt, and I really like those. Let's go here on this side. I don't know, is that working for anybody? I don't know, is it even worth me trying to do ASMR stuff in a live stream? I just don't know how well that works. But if you guys are digging it, then I'll kind of toss it in now and again. All right, dare I pop the bubbles? I like the sound of it, but then it's one of those things of eating your cake and having it too. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, if you spend them, then you can always just do crinkling. So I don't know. Let's sacrifice a couple of bubbles. Ooh, that was way too loud. Sorry about that. Yikes, I didn't realize it was going to clip the mic that way. So let's back off, see what happens. Nope, that's still way too loud. Way over here then. That one didn't pop. Yeah, that's a little bit better, still kind of loud. Alright, so maybe it's not a good idea to do the popping. So we'll go back to just doing the crinkling. I hope that wasn't too jarring for you guys as far as the popping. Hopefully it was just fast enough that it was over with. But yeah. Okay, we'll put that aside for a minute. Maybe we can come back to that. My throat started getting a little bit dry yesterday. I was actually fearful that I was going to get, kind of a laryngitis sort of a thing, but so far it's been not that. Just, needing to clear my throat a little bit more often than usual. Okay, Sarah says people make kind of fake soup mixture of wooden and plastic beads. Oh, you know, that's a good idea. You know, I do have a set of beads. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure one of my nieces gave me these, and I just can't remember the origin of them. They kind of seem like those, you know, New Orleans Carnival or Mardi Gras type thing. You know, it might have been from, they do a carnival sort of thing sometimes. I think it's down in the Mission District in San Francisco, if I'm remembering properly. I mean, San Francisco has a lot of street fair type things, and so they kind of all sort of blend together for me. I mean, it's not exactly stirring, but, you know, is that... I like the idea of that. I haven't seen the soup of beads like that. I'll have to look into that. So who have you seen that you really like doing that? Just so I can save my time for the searching. I don't know, is that a decent bead noise for anybody? Anyway. There for aliens, or therefore aliens, from the UK. Hello to you. Welcome to the live stream. Prizeful says, you know, yeah, I don't vape anymore. Well, I do vape with cannabis, but it doesn't, it's not the exact same mechanism to make the vapor. So it doesn't really make the same noise. You know, I'm wondering if maybe I could go download, because you know all those videos are on my old machine, which is sort of toast, so I don't really have access to the original files. Actually, I do somewhere there on. I've tried to back up a lot of stuff on a USB drive, so maybe I could go dig through that. Or maybe I could just download it straight from YouTube, you know what I mean? Because it's digital, right? So it's, you know, non-destructive, you know. And maybe I could pull out, you know, and treat it as a sample, you know what I mean? And try to mix it in that way. You know, I'll look into that. Thank you for the suggestion of, you know, being able to replicate that. Yeah. Anyway, I'll think about that. Thank you for that. I'm gonna think about that. See what if I can make that work in a manner. Oh, okay. You know what I'll do is I'll just do you know search on YouTube and see what I get, and I'm in random guy. I'm in California, so it's almost 10 o'clock for me. So if it's 3 a.m. for you, so you're either, I don't know, is that going to be, I guess, behind me by 6 hours or ahead of me by, what is that, 18. So where does that put you? Is that putting you in like New Zealand, Australia, somewhere in the Pacific? Am I thinking of that right? Or am I ass backwards? I don't know why it is, but sometimes time zones just screw with my head. I don't know why. Because you know, I'm pretty good with geography, just general, like where things physically are. Yeah, Australia. Okay, cool. Thank you. So I guess I'm not too far off the mark then. Yeah, and you're welcome, Pricewell. Thank you. I mean, so mutual thanks back and forth between us, right? You know. All right, let me put the beads aside here. I'll put them with the bubble wrap. So Jeremy is 2 minutes to 1 a.m. Right, you were, oh no, is Indonesia, is that where you were at? Am I remembering that right, or am I confusing you with somebody else? The PFPS above you. not sure I get that PFPS. I'm drawing a blank on what that's a reference to, sorry. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm not a complete, goofball. I mean, yeah, sometimes my memory on certain details is always a little weird. But anyway, yeah, good for me. I remembered correctly. Anyway, welcome back, Jeremy. It's good to have you back. When you type that you are correct, it makes me think of Ed McMahon with Johnny Carson going, "You are correct, sir." That kind of thing. Oh, profile pictures. Okay. Yeah. Nice. So, cool. So let's see, where did they go? Yeah, there we go. Interesting, yeah. That's not your bad, Jazz 25. It's just me not understanding a lot of the. See, I don't text and things like that enough. So a lot of the, I mean, there's some things I know, like "be right back," or, I'm sure there's other ones I could think of, but yeah, I just don't text very often. I text with my sister occasionally because, to arrange to meet for coffee or something like that. Or, if I'm at the grocery store and I'm going to say, "Hey, I don't remember, do you need milk?" kind of thing. Yeah, and I get texts from my medical team about appointments and the like. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, of course the new short form or the new age slang. Yeah, I mean, it all works. It's just, I'm born in 1965, right? So I am, well, in a sense, I'm the first of Gen X, right? Because my parents were like my mom was born in 46, right? So she's like, my grandfather came back from World War II, and boom, there's my mom like 9 months later, so, baby boomer, right? That's the whole thing. And then she had me very young. Well, I'm sure there's younger mothers, but she was 19 when I was born. My dad was 18, right? So they were the first of the baby boomers and had me, and so, just by definition, I would be among the first of the Gen Xers, right? Yeah, because depending on who you read, the cutoff is either 64 or 65, typically for baby boomers. But since I am the child of baby boomers, I can't be a baby boomer, right? You know what I mean? Anyway, I find all that kind of generational cutoffs are pretty arbitrary, really. I mean, the baby boomer thing makes sense to a degree because it was a huge bump in population when, guys came back. Well, not just guys, there were some women that came back too, but mostly guys came back from the war, and, yeah, well, there you go. Okay, what kind of tea? This is green tea with ginger. What is it? The brand is, I can't see Bigelow is the brand. Not that I'm, endorsing them or anything, but I enjoy it. And as iced tea, yeah, iced tea, I like iced tea too. I keep iced herbal tea in my fridge. I always have at least one sort of jar container of mint tea, peppermint tea, because I just love cold peppermint tea. It just really does it for me as far as, so I don't really, I don't drink much soda pop. I used to quite a bit, but I just find it, man, it's just there's so much sugar in it. It's just crazy. So I have to kind of really be in the mood for it. And I'll only have it like with particular meals. Like if I'm having a sandwich, like, like a deli sort of sandwich, I'd like to have root beer with that or ginger ale. I like at the Safeway near me, sometimes I'll indulge myself. They have sort of a sushi area in the deli section, and there's a woman there that's really good at making sushi, and so I'll occasionally indulge myself in that, and I like having ginger ale with sushi. I don't know why that is, it just seems to work for me. Exennial. Yeah, so you're just, I guess born later than me, right? Because my mom was, pretty early. Yeah, but see, here's the thing, right? Depending on how you want to define the generations, since you're the child of a baby boomer, I mean, in the original definition, that would have made you Gen X, just because of whatever. But, anyway, all that stuff is pretty arbitrary, isn't it? But, so, Exennial, yay. And, well, hi there, Thomas Hendy. Dr. Pepper. My dad likes Dr. Pepper quite a bit. Yeah, it's crazy how much sugar there is in soda, isn't it? Right, yeah, yeah, not that diet, obviously. Right, right. I get what you mean, though. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, right, yeah, different cutoff. You know what? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I guess if you're trying to talk about generations in some meaningful way for, like a historical context thing, just define what you're talking about, right? I mean, I guess that's the best thing to do, really. You know what I mean? Because terms get tossed around so much, they start becoming. That's the problem with modern language usage, is because here's the thing: people often forget that language is defined by its usage, right? The Oxford English Dictionary does not give you the correct definition of words. It's based on usage, right? Language is defined by how it's used. Now, there are particular circumstances where there's like special words in, like in disciplines, like in mathematics, continuity has a very specific meaning. But if you study mathematics, you know what that is. You see Weierstrass's thing, and you go, yeah, I know what continuity means. Um, so there's that thing. But otherwise, language is as it is used. I mean, you can call anything you want, whatever you want. The issue is, though, that will anybody understand what you're meaning, you know? Um, yeah, I could go off on the whole language thing for a long time and go off on a gazillion tangents and probably be boring as hell with that stuff. But, yeah, there you go. All right, here we go, the end of the tea. I may get up in a few minutes and put some water in my kettle and make some more tea in a bit, just because, I'm feeling pretty good, but I am kind of feeling the fact that my sleep was sort of weirdly, because I did last night, and then I took a little bit of a nap, and then I came back at midnight and then went till 3, and then I had to wind down a little bit after that. And so I got, I think about maybe 4 hours sleep, until 9 this morning, and so I feel mostly okay. But I think the caffeine will be useful to keep me kind of alert and on top, And obviously, I'm going to be taking some naps this afternoon. Yeah, I know what you mean about the figurative and literal thing. That frustrated me just because it's like, I mean, I know you can use language however you want, but there are certain words that we kind of gotten used to using in a particular manner. And when people start altering it to be exactly the opposite of what it has been typically used for, it can be super frustrating. But, the thing with literal especially is frustrating because of, a lot of words follow their roots, you know what I mean? And so literal coming, from like, it's the same sort of root as literature, right? So the idea being that it is in fact what you're describing, you know what I mean? So those types of root things I find very interesting, the whole etymology thing. And I used to, when I was doing papers and stuff in college, especially when I took that linguistics class, I was at the library stacks looking over the OED, just because, I find it super, when I can afford it, I think I'm going to buy a subscription access to the OED online, just because it's, they do a fantastic job of studying and maintaining a record of word usage. I mean, it is sort of the authority if you want to see how usage is working. They're really, really good about the research they do and compiling it, putting it together. It's really, really impressive. Well, here's a question to any of you who are not maybe English isn't your first language, what would be the equivalent sort of quote-unquote authority when it came to academic treatment of language? I'd be curious to know how that works. I'm assuming that there's similar resources in pretty much any language, right? I mean, standardization is an important thing, right? I think that's the thing that when I was a kid, they leaned into it being the correct word, you know, the correct definition. And I don't think that does kids a good service. I think they should emphasize that it's standard, right? That it's standardized. The idea being that we're trying to have words have a common meaning so that we can, you know, more effectively communicate with each other. Because that's really what it is. That's the mechanism. You know, if you look at it anthropologically from outside of your culture, that is what is happening. And I think it's better to, you know, lean into the actuality. I think it gives people a better understanding of their reality. And, you know, that's my religious perspective, is me trying to understand my reality. And then when I'm interacting with other humans, use ideas and models to describe that experience. And, you know, hopefully we can gain insight from each other, right? I mean, that's what science, like science, this is the thing I get very sort of kind of nitpicky about, I guess, is that science in and of itself isn't reality. It's a description of the reality, right? You know, the law, I think it's a bad idea to call it the laws of physics, you know what I mean? Because it's not, nature has no obligation to behave anything, you know what I mean? What it is it's our best effort as using mathematical tools to describe reality, you know? I think it's important to maintain that perspective. Because otherwise, because I've come across sciencey people that get very dogmatic. It's like, man, science is never finished. It will never be finished, you know? It's always a moving target. The model will always be broken, no matter what. And, you know, I like to use that phrase just because it kind of, you know, ruffles feathers, I suppose, in a way. But the truth is you're always going to find something about the model that needs tinkering with. You know, like, for example, the whole thing with dark matter, dark energy, right? I wish they wouldn't have used those phrases, because it's my understanding that, you know, there's the phenomenon that they use the phrase dark energy to describe. But as of yet, we have not actually found any particle that resembles what we theoretically think that is, right? So it's like, you know what I mean? That's kind of on the edge of things, isn't it? But what we know is that the model is broken. What the model says we should expect is not what we observe, right? That's the whole thing. So we're attempting to fix the model. You know, I mean, anyway, there's my 2 cents on all of that. Anyway, Lane Copeland says, hey Bill, hope you're having a good one. Yes, I am, you know, trying to do it. Anyway, I think I'm succeeding so far today. I hope you are too. Welcome to the live stream. I'm bad with memory name. Have you been here before, or is this your first live stream? Or, you know, for coming to my live stream, not your first live stream at all, but you know, I'm sure over time, those of you who come back, that I will, you know, because there's a few people that when they come on, I'll go, oh yeah, like Sarah, like I remember you from last night. So there you go. I might remember you next time just because of the fact that you've been interacting with us, you know, and you know, several of you, right? You know, like JS25, etc. And whatever. So you know, I guess the thing I should do is just, you know, keep doing the live streams, and as you guys come back, we can develop sort of a consistent relationship. You know, that's my hope anyway. Yeah. Build community, right? That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Kind of trying to recapture that what was once the ASMR scene, you know. I mean, that's why I said earlier about the idea of, you know, amplifying and, you know, giving shout outs to any of you who do your own creative efforts of, and it doesn't even have to be here on YouTube. I mean, anything that you do that the rest of us could have access to, you know, online or whatever. By all means, let me know what it is, and you know, I would love to amplify what you're doing. Well, assuming that you're not doing cruelty things, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to amplify like Nazi stuff or anything like that. But you know, any kind of worthwhile, what I would consider worthwhile endeavor. I think you guys understand me well enough to know what I'm going to think of as worthwhile and the like. I mean, I try to be pretty open about my perspective on things, and you know, I'm the atheist anarchist advocating agape. You know what I mean? That's not the phrase I came up with for my W.C. Postman channel. And I think most of you guys get it, you know? And even if you don't agree with me entirely, everybody here seems to be compassionate enough to be like, hey, we can all coexist and, you know, figure out a way of, you know, doing something. Anyway, there you go. There's my babbling about that. Anyway, let me get back to the comments here. Okay, cool, Lane. Well, welcome. Glad you made it. Jeremy, that's your second stream that you showed up to. Yeah. Now, do you mean second stream as in including last night being the first one? Is that right? Or the second stream as in this is the second of these weekend, marathons that I do? Hey, Ben J, good morning. Good to see you back. That's nice. Thank you. NJS25. Oh yeah, Pure ASMR. He and I are going to do some more things together. Because my video on his channel was really super successful. So we've been talking about, trying to work that to both of our advantages, which I'm kind of excited about because, we've met and talked, and he's a really, really cool guy. So if there's a channel, not just because, I have a video over there that's doing well, like way better than any videos on my channel. I mean, that's kind of the idea though, and he's willing to, want to help me out, and I of course want to help him out, with content and the like. So we're trying to figure out a means of making a win-win, right, where we can help each other out and have everything be cool. Anyway, so back to the thing. Well, I'm glad you have begun engaging. Thank you for being here. Welcome and all of that. Fantastic. And I'm glad because you've been a pretty consistent interactor with as the thing has gone on this time. So I'm glad that you're here, man. That's fantastic. And Curzerone says, oh, right. Yeah. Nickel harp. I remember. Yeah. Man, that is a crazy, wacky instrument, at least from my perspective. It's so intricate and sophisticated in its construction. And it gets some interesting results. Absolutely. It's a fantastic instrument. I would never, it's too much for me to endeavor to play. I mean, I don't, maybe it's not as hard as I think because, well, I knew a guy that owned one and played it. And, but it just seemed to be so, foreign to me, I mean, well, it is foreign, right? It's a Swedish folk thing, right? That's that's where its origins are, right? Man, it's a fantastic instrument though. Anyway, welcome back, Curzone. Or Curzerone. Man, there you go, Curzerone. Man. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna go start my kettle off for some more tea. So I can maintain some level of caffeination. Water in here? Yes, I still have water in there. Click that off. Let me get a tea bag. Put the sugar over here, I guess. I hope that's not too annoying. It seems to me because I think most people like the fact that I'm kind of open about how I exist, so I don't want to edit out too much, stuff of what's going on here. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just not turn off the mic, and you can listen to the kettle go. I mean, I will turn off the mic if I have to do a bathroom break because I just find that kind of disgusting. But TMI, right? Here I got the wrapper for the tea bag. That might be a good thing to do some crinkling with. That seems like it's good. Is it coming out good on the... In the room it sounds very good, so I'm hoping it comes off the mic really good too, for you guys. Oh wait, so Thomas Hendy. Yeah, I've been doing it for a while. I mean, I wish, I haven't been as consistent as I probably should have been, but, I'm trying to rectify that. But, I'm glad you've been around for the time, man. That's fantastic. Thank you. And JS25 says, I wonder if they want to pronounce it Chico or Chico or Chicho or, I don't know. I'm curious. I'll go check them out because I'm not familiar with them at all. But okay, everybody, go to Pure ASMR. He's a fantastic guy and a good channel. See what's over there, I'm a firm believer in that, the more of us that get more attention, the better it is. I don't think it's a matter of, oh, if I get attention, that, I don't think it's a zero, sum, gain sort of thing. I mean, I suppose it is from the time, from the matter of time aspect, but I think there's enough humans on the planet that anybody who's creating stuff can find an audience for their stuff. It's just a matter of, getting the word out, Anyway, there goes my kettle. any of you have watched Box, this is the same kettle. I mean, it's beat up and, yeah, kind of permanently stained and worn out in some places, but it works, you know. All I have to do is, you know, keep it clean inside and boil water with it, right? That's all I do. Well, that's all it's designed for, right? It's kind of a silly thing to say. Of course, that's all I do. What else? I mean, I suppose you could put any liquid you want in there, but that would get disgusting and difficult to clean, right? Okay, I'm gonna set this over here. I'll clean that up later. I'm not always the best housekeeper, so anyway, yeah, I'll let that steep for a while. Try not to forget it so it doesn't get too cool. And let's see, let me see if I got some comments to talk about here. Okay, so Curzerone. Yeah, right on. Yeah, you guys, some of you guys have been around for quite a while, huh? Kind of the, you know, I guess I'll say the OG subscribers, right? You know, well, that's good to know that I've had people that like the stuff enough to stick around. That makes my heart glad. Is that Ian Shearer? Yeah, well, you're welcome, man. I'm glad you like the videos. And Tamir, is that how you would say that? From India. Fantastic, man. I didn't realize I had any viewers in India. You know, I think I am going to do some math stuff. A couple of people have asked for that again. I just have to figure out how I want, like, do I want to do it with like an overhead camera thing and me actually just writing it, you know? Or do I want to try and figure out some, like, you know, doing something, you know, text on, you know, and just capturing it with the screen capture thing, if I could find something that adequately, so I could, you know, because, yeah, math symbols are, you know, I don't like just using straight. I like the fact that, you know, that the symbols are specific to math, and I like the way that comes out. So I have to find something that has an appropriate font or something. I don't know. I'll work it out, but there will be more math stuff, and of course, you know, I'll have to do some of it with the books, just as I think it's worth kind of just, you know, here's the book, you know. Okay, so I'm glad you were around. Thanks for being here and for your participation and all that. It was good to hear from you as well. And I'll see you next time. Yeah, fantastic. Go and be well, my friend. And okay, so Chi Cho, I guess. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that clarification. Oh, my channel. Yeah, the MaxVoxPax, right? Yeah. I don't know. Just sort of. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly how I came up with it, but I don't know. I just like the way it sounds, and I liked, of course, the most voice peaceful thing is, you know, obviously the Latin reference, but mostly I just like the way it sounds. You know, it kind of seems like somebody's name, even though I don't think of it as my name really, like a stage name. I think of it more as the channel name. But you know, I'm fine with however anybody wants to use it, man. I mean, I realize that people aren't, you know, trying to be negative about it when they use it to address me, so that's all cool. Absolutely. I didn't notice the clock when I put in the tea bag. I wonder how long it's been in. I'll let it go for a couple more minutes. Oops, somebody's doing something upstairs. I'm pretty sure I let everybody know I was going to be recording, so I mean, most of the time it's the way the house is built that a lot of sounds don't make it down here, but sometimes certain sounds do. But yeah, like my niece who lives directly above me, she has a fan that she uses in her room both to circulate air, and also she likes the kind of the white noise element of it. And but something about its frequency resonates in the floor in such a way that I get this weird screwed up low level hum that I found just annoying. But anyway, so we figured out a way of putting it on, putting some cinder blocks under it, and so some cinder blocks with yeah. Anyways, basically cinder blocks to just isolate the, you know, raise it up off the floor, and that seems to the density of the cinder block seems to be enough to keep the rattling of the fan making it through down here. But anyway. Yeah, yeah, you're not the only one, Jazz 25. Yeah, it's a common thing, frankly. And that's, like I said, that's fine. I don't, it's not that big a deal for me, really. It's more important that people remember the identity of it so that they can come back and enjoy the videos, right? I mean, that's kind of the idea, right? Especially now that I'm actually kind of, beginning of the notion of making the channel more serious and, trying to think in terms of trying to play the YouTube algorithm, both because, then there's ad revenue, but also, the truth is, it means I reach more people, and yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? Just to reach more people. And if it's my fantasy that it could turn into, between this and my music channel, that I don't need to worry about finding a job. That's my hope. But, yeah, I realize that may not be reality. I may have to, as soon as I'm trying to get my back in better shape so that I can do something. I mean, my problem is I can't be reliable. There's days I can actually, like right now, I'm being able to do this and sit here, although I had to, use the ice pack and the recliner with the vibrator last night just to keep my back okay, just because sitting can be a real rough thing on my back. But, it's I'm keeping it under control well enough to be able to function with this, so it's okay. But there are times I can't, you know what I mean? And like I can sneeze and it can, pinch a nerve, and then I'm, useless for maybe even as many as a couple of days. And then I'll have the persistent, I get a lot of, if some things go bad, it's mostly bad symptoms in my legs. So I have to, anyway, I don't mean to be a downer and all that nonsense. But yeah, I'm trying to get my back in better shape just so I can be, have more mobility and be a reliable human and function in society a little bit more effectively. But in the meantime, I want to build my channels, I need to do something constructive, participate in the world in a meaningful manner, right? Even if it is just ASMR. I think it's worthwhile. So, and it seems that you guys agree at least to some level, because you're here, right? And that's, a good thing for me, both as, ego stuff and, confirmation of, that what I do is worthwhile and all of that, but also just, the general notion of, the whole hippie thing of building community, right? You know what I mean? That's, I've always been sort of that kind of, the more hippy-dippy, lovey-dovey sort of counterculture aspect. I mean, for a while I was into the punk thing, but never to the point of actually harming anything, you know what I mean? Even when I was a skateboarder, I never really liked the guys that really went and trashed things. Although I was guilty of skating in some pools that we shouldn't have skated in, you know what I mean? But I was a teenager, so Anyway, there you go. Anyway, so Curzerone, off-topic question. Can somebody learn to drink again? Yes, they can. I've known people who have. However, because I'm an alcoholic, basically, because, I've spent many, many, many years being a blackout drunk, and I had doctors say, dude, quit or else, kind of thing. I mean, that's really what it came down to. I mean, because I functioned, I had a job and all of that, and I didn't have any, nobody, hated me for my drinking or anything like that. I wasn't abusive to my family or anything like that. So I was, I guess, a functional alcoholic. But it came down to, I was harming my body to the degree that, one of the doctors, I had 3 doctors came up on me, and one of them was a neurologist, and he was like, dude, you need to stop. I mean, that's how heavy I was drinking. So, all right, so, they said stop. So I went and did the chemical dependency recovery program at Kaiser, and I haven't drank since. And that was, I think it was the July before I started my channel, so back in 2012. Yeah, but anyway, so back to your question. I mean, if it's a personal thing for you, I would recommend caution. I mean, if you've ever been to any kind of meeting or anything like that, the idea, they say play the tape, right? Or roll the film, depending on, the room you're in. They'll use different phraseology. But think about what can happen, because you're risking some shit, So, I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do with your life, or anybody, I think people should be allowed to do what they want, even if they're screwing themselves up. I think people need to have agency.
but just make sure you take care of yourself, man. That's the only thing I would say. And try to be honest with yourself. Like if you start drinking and you get into that mindset of, you know, oh, I need more, that thing, that, man, you need to find a way of jumping off that train, you know, because don't hurt yourself, man. That's the only thing I'll say. Just don't hurt yourself, you know. Anyway, there you go. I hope that helps. Jess25 says, da, 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 da. Good, I'm glad to hear Jess25. Yeah, you know, it seems like, you know, yeah, we have lost some people. I mean, notably, you know, the first one that comes to my mind is ASM Marvelous, you know. You know, there's a few that have become kind of inactive, and it's disappointing because, you know, there's the thing, right? You come to kind of almost depend on people's output, you know what I mean? And it gets, you know, kind of, please make more videos, please make, you know, but look, none of us are obligated to make anything, you know what I mean? And I understand that, you know, from my perspective as a creator, I'm not, you know, I have absolutely the right to go, you know, screw this, I'm not going to do it, and even turn off the channel if I wanted. I don't think I'll ever do that, frankly, so I'm not trying to put any fear into anybody's mind, but and again, people need to have agency. But yeah, I do miss people, you know. Yeah, you know, so, but, you know, it is my intent to just make ASMR until, you know, I croak. You know, so as long as I'm able to do it, I'm going to keep going. Unless I become, you know, here's the thing. If I start becoming ridiculously ineffective, then please chime in and say, Bill, you're embarrassing yourself. Stop. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay. Don't know. I'm not going to understand how to pronounce the first part of the name Noah, but it's going well. I don't know. Yeah, there's an attempt, but yeah, it's going well. I hope it's going well for you. Welcome to the live stream. Good, I'm glad you think so, Benjay. You know, that's my hope. It gladdens my heart that, you know, there are enough of you who feel that way. You know, it feeds my enthusiasm, you know. So, yeah. Oh, I didn't put sugar in my tea yet, did I? Or did I? Nope, doesn't seem like it. Let's put some sugar in it. What's that song from? It was a hair metal band, right? Put some sugar on it. Oh no, that's Def Leppard, isn't it? They're originally from the UK, right? Def Leppard. I think they're from the UK. Man, it goes back to my teenage days. I have to give them kudos at least for one thing about when the drummer had the accident and lost his arm, and they worked with him so that he could, you know, keep being the drummer. You know what I mean? That was fantastic. You know, I like that kind of cohesive nature in a band. That can be very appealing. And then, of course, there's also bands that are just about professionalism. And, you know, I'm thinking of King Crimson, especially the Bill Bruford, Tony Levin, Adrian Belew incarnation with, and of course Fripp, because King Crimson is Fripp. You know what I mean? You know, I haven't really heard much stuff of theirs recently. Are they even doing anything anymore? I've kind of lost track of Fripp. Oh, you know, I've seen him with his wife. What's her name? I want to say Tanya. That's not right. She kind of did kind of a punkish sort of thing back in the day. She's quite you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Exhibitionist, I suppose, in a way. I would not have pictured them being married, but they seem happy. They got some YouTube stuff, and where he's being very lighthearted and silly and, you know, playing stuff. But man, he's one of those guys that absolutely has influenced my playing as a guitarist. Yeah, so if any of you guys don't know Fripp, just, you know, go search Robert Fripp, and, you know, there's a whole lot of things that will come up. He did a lot of stuff with, like, David Bowie and Brian Eno, and of course King Crimson. You know, and if you're interested in progressive rock, King Crimson is fantastic, especially if you go back to, because they were one of the early, you know, people doing it, especially with In the Court of the Crimson King. That's a fantastic record, man. If you like progressive rock and you've not heard that, then you got to go dig that, man. Or if you're even just curious about progressive rock, yeah, albums I would recommend that are kind of hardcore progressive rock that I think are worth checking out is, In the Court of the Crimson King, and then Close to the Edge by Yes. Fragile as well, but Close to the Edge is like, that's, man, that's a masterpiece. And I like, and I would put Jethro Tull's Passion Play as a progressive album. I think that's a really fantastic record too. I don't know if, what was his name, Ian Anderson, I don't know if he, would consider that progressive, but, they were always kind of on the edge of that anyway, but that album in particular, to me, is very, very progressive. Dwayne Dennison from Jesus Lizard. Jesus Lizard is ringing, kind of tickling a memory cell thing. I can't bring anything to mind. But I don't know Tomahawk, and Dwayne Dennison doesn't bring anything to mind, but I'm pretty sure I've heard some Jesus Lizard. But I'm not well, I can't remember it well enough to, say thumbs up or thumbs down or anything like that. Yeah, so I guess, yeah. You're in Deity. That's a great name, man. Anyway, welcome to the live stream, man. That's the first time I've noticed your name, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, since this is dead air, I'm going to go back to doing a little bit of mic brushing. Maybe I'll break out the Chinese bowls too. I don't remember, did anybody let me know if the Chinese bowl thing worked at all? I know a few people have said that they like the brushing thing, so I'll throw that in now and again. And oh, okay, JS25 says. Okay, well, thanks for stopping by, JS25. I'm glad you were here, and I will see you when I see you, man. Okay, have you ever tried playing Diablo or of Exile? No, I have not. I don't really play games that much, really, you know what I mean, outside of the ones you see me play online. For the gameplays. I'm kind of a finicky guy when it comes to that stuff, so I kind of get into habits of things. And in truth, I play games partially for my own relaxation. Like, for example, when I do crossword, I do a really, really super easy one because I'm lousy at crossword. But I find them, kind of entertaining. And I can't even remember the link or the name of the thing for the crossword I play, but I play on easy mode. But otherwise, I play games because I think they're good for my brain. You know what I mean? Like Codebreaker is, clearly about, deducing things, right? Given the information. And I like the word games. Like Wordle, Quirtle, Octurtle, Exortle. Just because it's good for, me to, kind of work with having a decent vocabulary, right? Just recognizing words and patterns and like that. And of course, there's a certain amount of deduction in there too, because you get the clues about the right letter in the right place, kind of thing, similar to Codebreaker in a way. Actually, very similar to Codebreaker, right? And then Sokoban, I enjoy playing Sokoban, but I'm not very good at certain spatial reasoning, which is odd for a math guy who especially likes things like geometry. But it's easier for me to treat those types of things in abstract form, which I think is why I went into the kind of pure math, axiomatic system stuff. So that kind of stuff I take to very well. Like, for example, when I worked at the tutoring center at San Francisco State, a lot of the people that came in to see me specifically weren't really math students, they were physics students, and I was able to help them I didn't really understand the physics, because a lot of these guys, it was very advanced physics. It wasn't, like I took just the basic class, and basic physics is like basically Newtonian mechanics, really, right? But they were doing much more advanced stuff, which was like way beyond what I could understand, really, just because I didn't have the background to get it very well. I mean, I can kind of understand things in general terms and whatever, but specificity of what the model is doing, I don't really have a lot of experience with. But here's the thing: I was able to help them, because if they could tell me, well, what is it you're doing? I don't care about, whether it's a force or an acceleration or any of this stuff. I just need to know. I need to understand. So, what is it? Something that's happening orthogonal to another thing, like at right angles or whatever. And so do we need to use a volume model or, that kind of thing? And so I was able to just, in an abstract sense, apply the mathematical tool nature to what they needed for, in physics. And, so it was kind of a good synergistic thing. So, I was actually proud of the fact that I could help those people. Anyway, that was a long way around me to say that I'm pretty finicky about the games I play. Not that I'm adverse to playing new games. And I think I'm going to try and make some effort in that way in the gameplay videos, just to give you guys some variety. Because I know some of you are just tripping out and gelling onto the timbre of my voice. But I think there's a few of you that actually are paying attention to what I'm doing, at least to some degree. And so I think it's worth providing some variety. And also, challenging myself. I mean, maybe there is some utility and value in me actually being challenged in real time and in front of you. Oh, I'm painting the microphones. It's just, just a dry brush. It came up last night. I was, just doing ASMR-ish stuff. So people had asked me to, kind of do the, microphone scratching thing. And anyway, so I've been doing this and people seem to like it. So here also, I think I can do it with the handle as well. Try not to do it too harshly. I'm painting sound, man. There you go. So, Lanoil, or is it Ianoil? Ianoil, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So is it working for you? Do you find that it's a pleasing sound? What's the vote on that? Last night it was popular. What is it today? Is it working, or should I just abandon it? I mean, I enjoy doing this, but it's really for you guys and me being able to make connection with you guys. So I don't want to do things if you guys aren't digging it. I haven't really thought about playing games that were, more complex than that, right? Like League of Legends or something like that. I don't know why. I used to play a couple of games with my sister, because my sister and her family, all of them are super into gaming, and they've got consoles, and some of them do, have the PC thing going, and yeah, pretty much everybody upstairs is, participating in gaming to some degree, with the exception of maybe my dad. But he plays some of the games like what I play. Right? So I guess that's the old fuddy-duddy thing. My sister's only 3 years younger than me, but yeah, she plays a lot of those games. And I don't remember any of the names of the games, but she has a whole circle of friends that she only knows online because they do various campaigns together and that kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. They just don't. I just I used to play games with them in that regard, and I guess I was okay at it in kind of a weird beginner newbie sort of way. But I was really participating in it for the social aspect more than me. Because they just, for whatever reason, they just didn't stick with me. We mentioned this a little bit last night, and I used to play at the King's Quest games quite a bit, and Space Quest a little bit, and Leisure Suit Larry, of course. I think those are all from Sierra. Toya, that's it. Toya Wilcox, right. Thank you, Martin. Oh, I saw her recently, because I like watching British game shows, and so it was Pointless Celebrities, and she appeared on Pointless Celebrities. Oh no, it wasn't Pointless Celebrities. It was Richard Osman's House of Games. Um, yeah, see, I watch a lot of British game show stuff. Um, like I like Only Connect, um, and occasionally I'll do Countdown, but I especially like 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown. So I like mostly like the light entertainment type. Like I love Taskmaster as well. I don't know what it is about those games. They really, really appeal to me. Anyway, um, I'll keep that in mind, Prize Bowl, because people have made suggestions that I should, kind of expand my, the gaming repertoire. So I think what I'm going to do is look for some games that appeal to me that I can play on the Pop! OS platform. Um, so I'll look into that because I have the whole Pop Shop, which is that's the repository from Pop! OS, the stuff that's just easy. You can just click and go, oh, please install, and it's just bingo bango. You don't have to even worry about it. And anyway, yeah. So anyway, I'll look into that, and then yeah, if anything comes to mind, I'll reach out and say, hey, dude, here's what I'm playing. Can you offer some advice or something? So anyway, thanks for the offer. That's really, really cool. So oh yeah, thanks for the advice. Proceed with caution. Thanks, you, you're deity. How do I catch House of Games? On YouTube. There's the Mundo channel. Oh, just for immediacy's sake of gameplay, I think I'm going to try to bring in the game Klotsky, play a few of those in a gameplay. I'll see how that goes. I like that game, but sometimes it's pretty frustrating for me. Again, because it's that spatial reasoning thing. It's like there's something about that I really have to put effort into it to get my brain to work well at it. But I think it's worth doing. It's, if for nothing else, neuroplasticity, right? What was I didn't see the retracted message from Martin Speeder, but okay, well, you retracted, so I guess, I should just leave it be, right? I liked thinking of game shows and whatnot, watching Taskmaster. I don't remember which season it was, but where Richard Osman was on, and it's like he and Greg Davis, or Davies, or however you say his name. I guess it's Davis, right? Because of he's a Welsh guy, right? But because they're both just, I think like Greg Davis is maybe like an inch taller than Richard Osman, and they're both 6 foot. I mean, they're just giant, man. It's like you see them. Like there was one season when the winner of the season was what's his name, Josh Whittaker, and I mean he's kind of a smallish guy in height, and a little on the lower end of average, I think. At least that's how I perceive him. But him standing next to Greg Davis is just well, it's also funny because Alex Horn, I think he's like 6'1" or something like that. So he's not really all that short, but Greg's always teasing him for being a little guy because I mean, compared to the rest of us, Alex is above average height, but compared to Greg, everybody's short. I mean, he's like NBA height to tall. You know what I mean? He's crazy tall. Oops, the dogs are running around upstairs. I think that means my sister is taking hers outside for a while. We have a couple of dogs that they don't get along well, so we have to be careful about which one's in which part of the yard when, kind of thing. Because otherwise they'll occasionally go at it with each other, and it's just, we need to figure out a way of getting them to not be like that, because it's just frustrating. I mean, I don't personally keep dogs just because, I'm too much of a weird basket case when it comes to certain types of, I would, oh crap, I got to feed the dog, I mean, that kind of thing. So it's better for me just to, enjoy the fact that the rest of my family keeps dogs, and I can go up and hang out with them. And it's fun to hang out with them and play with them. And the dogs all love me because, I get down on the floor and roll around with them and that kind of thing. And, not many of the people upstairs really do that, really, because they're all grown-ups now, right? So, but yeah, I love playing with the dogs. Usually when I go upstairs, because I have to go outside to go inside the front door, just because of the way the house works and the kind of garage basement space that I'm in. So when I'm coming up the front steps, the dogs will bark just because, you know, anytime they hear any noise out front, they start barking. But then when I get in the door, you know, they're all, oh, Bill's here, ah. And they're all jumping around. And speaking of which, my height. Okay, my height, I'm not sure what it is. I used to be almost precisely 6 feet tall since I was 16. And since I've developed degenerative disc disease, I've lost more than an inch of height, so I'm 5'10" something now, which is that just means that I've lost that much on each individual disc, some more than others, but, you know, so, yeah. Anyways, that's why I've been trying to make more effort I should be better with my posture, first of all, and also doing physical therapy exercises, as well as, you know, just trying to get in better shape in general, because I used to be in really, really good shape. After I gave up drinking, I kind of got into a health kick and was doing a lot of body weight exercises and that kind of thing, and I became stronger than I'd ever been, ever, even, you know, going back to teenager 20s, you know what I mean? I was just way stronger. And then I had a GI issue, and then at the same time, my back started giving me grief, and then it got diagnosed as degenerative disc disease, and unfortunately I let it defeat me, you know. I'm not proud of that, but anyways, I'm trying to crawl back into some semblance of, you know, my former self. Anyway, I don't mean to be a downer, sorry about all that. Actually, the tea's starting to cool off now. So Derek, for quitting drinking, howdy Dylan. Okay, so first of all, make sure that you've actually decided that you really want to quit, right? Because if you're just like playing at it, you're probably not going to be successful. So you really need to realize, you know, am I really wanting to quit? Like I said before, I had, you know, doctors said, right? So I was like, okay, I better listen to the doctor. So I had, you know, some motivation. So I don't know where your motivation is going to come from or what that's going to be. I mean, I think it's different for everyone. It's different for everybody, right? And then find some support. AA wasn't for me. I did for a while go to a thing called Life Ring, because they don't invoke any of the higher power stuff. But even then I stopped doing that, because when I went to meetings, it made me want to drink, you know what I mean? And especially because I was living in San Francisco, and where the meetings were held was like walking distance from my house, which was convenient and cool. But I lived, the part of town I lived in, well, actually pretty much everywhere in San Francisco is this way. There's corner stores everywhere. And a lot of those corner stores were corner stores I used to buy booze in, you know? And so I'm like coming from a meeting, wanting to drink, and having to walk by these stores. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I stopped going to meetings. But so I found my support in a couple of ways. One was my family. I have a very close-knit family. Two, I kind of leaned into my meditation practice that I was always kind of half-assed at because of my drinking. And then ASMR, frankly. You know, part of the reason, not only to kind of give back to the community for ASMR, but it gave me a constructive thing to do, right? You know what I mean? So there's the thing, find constructive things to do with your time, and realize you're going to lose friends. Like it's like I really don't have very many friends anymore, because most of my friends were people I drank with, you know, and a few people I maintained a friendship with after that, but most people I just had to drop, either because being around them made me want to drink, or they were just, you know, like, what are you doing quitting drinking, man? You know, you think you're better than me, this kind of thing. There's like a lot of people that get this really kind of screwed up attitudes. And I came to realize, you know, those people that had that attitude probably should quit drinking themselves, and that's the problem. They're just gaslighting themselves, and they don't want to face it. So there you go. Find something to do with your time that's going to be different than drinking, and find a support group, and make sure that you're really, that this is it, you're going to commit to it. Because otherwise, because people, if you get into the failure cycle, it'll screw you up. You know what I mean? So there's my advice. If you have the capacity, or if it's available to you through your insurance or something like that, because that's, you know, how I did the CDRP thing through Kaiser, and which was really cool because I was off. They gave me a month off work to be able to do. It was an outpatient thing. I didn't have to live there. But you know, a doctor said a thing to my work saying that, you know, for medical reasons that I wouldn't be able to attend work for a while, and that's all the details they need to know, right? By law, they can't ask for anything more than that. So, you know, yeah, as far as getting jacked in, absolutely. I've been trying it, you know, and again, I'm going to be using body weight exercises, and it's actually a pretty recent thing, just in the last, you know, few months, really. Because for a while I was doing just physical therapy exercises that I got, you know, from seeing the physical therapist, that were all just about basically stretching and, you know, that kind of thing, kind of, you know, keep some mobility in my spine. But I've decided I think strength is also going to be a thing that will help me. So yeah, so body weight exercises, that'll be the thing, you know, planks, pull-ups, push-ups, you know, this kind of thing. Yeah, there you go. And of course, I need to get back into bike riding because that's good for your legs and your cardiovascular, right? And it's I find bike riding is, you know, easy on joints and that kind of thing, and it doesn't jar my spine. So, anyway, Dirk, if you do decide to quit, I wish you every success, man. And Dylan, I'm gonna say that your last name makes me think that it's Irish, and is it O'Byrne? O'Byrne? I'm sorry, I'm going to screw up names like that. I'm always kind of nosy about how I should be pronouncing things. And I could be totally off base. I'm, you know. Anyway, hope that wasn't too intrusive or whatever, Dylan. And when I start bringing up my thing about my spine, I hope I'm not being too much of a downer for everybody. I mean, it's just part of my reality, but I don't really want to, you know, I want to, yeah, I just don't want to be a downer. You know what I mean? So we have 11 people. Well, you know, that's last night. The streams did had more people in them, so I wonder if that's just because it's a Sunday morning. People are, well, it's Sunday morning here, right? That's the thing I need to remember. It's whatever time it is elsewhere, so it might be that it's just, I don't know. So maybe this isn't the best time for the live stream. Maybe I should modify the Sunday part. Okay, Derek's talking about the drinking thing again and the small town. So whereabouts are you in the U.S., Derek? And if you don't mind my asking, whereabouts, what desert town? Like I'm thinking, you know, what here in the American Southwest? Yeah, I'm just, you know, sorry, I'm just being nosy. I hope you don't mind. And Dylan says, so it ends up sounding like burn. Is that right? So is the O pronounced, or is that kind of just a thing? Because is O, am I remembering this correctly, that O in Irish is a bit like son of kind of thing? Is that right? So Dylan O'Byrne, is that how I would pronounce that? You know, is that even close? Anyway. Yeah, you know, okay, I guess if it serves some utility, right? You know what I mean? Because there's another thing, not so much this weekend, but the previous live stream extravaganza, I ended up spending a lot of time talking about mental health and the fact that I have issues with mental health and I'm medicated and all of that. And you're right, because awareness is an important thing. You know, there's so much stigma around certain aspects of health, especially here in the U.S. I think part of it is due because we just have a crummy health system. I mean, from a technological standpoint, the U.S. has amazing medical stuff, but we just don't distribute it well, you know, as far as people having access to it. And is that 10 star 361? Thank you very much.
I appreciate the fact that you love my content, and that is, I love your generosity, man. That is actually a very helpful thing to me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anyway, back to the other comments. You're from Massachusetts and now live in New Mexico. All right. I understand New Mexico is a beautiful part of the country. I've never been there. Man, I hope you can find some success and peace there, man. I really do. I really, really do. Oh, and back to 10 star 361. Am I saying that right? With the 3 being, I'm just assuming that it's sort of like a backwards E kind of thing. But, correct me if I'm wrong. Again, thank you for your generosity, man. That is super, super cool. And yeah, thanks for the kind wishes, Samuel. And I am working towards it. There's the thing. We should all try to, I don't want to be a better human than any other human. I want to be better than my previous self. You know what I mean? I think that's when I came to have that realization, which I came to late in adulthood, it kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things, because I have no control over anybody's agency, really. And I suppose I could if I wanted to be ruthless and cruel, but I don't want to participate in that. So if you can recognize other people's agency and realize, I can do my reality, you know what I mean? And that's what I should be focused on. And then focus on my reality and then be kind and compassionate and try to interact with others in a meaningful way, right? Anyway, that's my hope and desire. Again, the atheist anarchist advocating agape, right? And in this context, advocating agape is the thing. There are times I lose my temper, and there are times there's, not to get into it too deeply, but, there are certain realms of the political spectrum that really, really frustrate me. And so it, kind of challenges my ability to maintain compassion. But that's the thing I have to work on, right? Humans are humans. All the humans deserve the compassion, and all the humans deserve the rights, even those who have, done bad things, I like the Norwegian, their newest strategy or latest strategy, however you want to characterize it, in their correctional facilities situation, is that it's really focusing on what's the problem. You know what I mean? The people get to actually have a reasonable standard of living while they're incarcerated, because the idea is that isolation is enough. Being away from their normal life and from their family and friends and all that, that's enough punishment for a human. Because it's actually, that is a challenging thing for primates in general, right? They've observed, primates in captivity, and man, captivating primates is, we don't like being captive, man. It doesn't matter which, branch of the primate thing that you're looking at. All of us don't like being captive. So that is punishment enough. But then they try to approach it from the standpoint of, getting people counseling, getting people job training, if they need, if it's a substance abuse issue. You know what I mean? They're trying to look at, and it's paying off, man. They have, their recidivism rate is, I want to say it's about half hours, something in that neighborhood. There's still a lot of people that return to criminality, but they're chipping away at it. You know what I mean? And I think that's a good thing. Yeah, you're right. You're in duty. That's it. It's rehabilitation rather than punishment, 100%. And I think that's the path forward, man. It's like, I like Portugal's idea about taking criminality out of substance abuse and drug usage, right? It's like, all right, people are going to do what people are going to do. If they have a problem, and if it's centered around criminality, why criminality? Try to figure that out. And if it's a medical issue, which is what it is a lot of the time, then try to help the human be a better human, right? Try to give them this help and support and counseling, whatever it is they need, so that they don't fall into, the behaviors that are, counterproductive to the rest of us in society. Anyway, Pranav Ojha, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. It seems to me like that is not of Indo-European origin, but I might be wrong. If you don't mind my being nosy, where is the name from and where are you from? Just because, again, I'm a nosy guy. I don't mean to offend, but, there you go. I see, here's the thing. Punishment, I think that the isolation thing is enough punishment. So I do, there is a degree of, the correctional things, like, you need to give, there's a certain negative aspect to the correctional thing, but it is my belief that that's the path. Like, it's my understanding that in Norway they don't have a sentence any longer than 20 years. Because they believe that, humans, there's the thing, it's based on the deal that humans are redeemable, right? And, well, now here's the thing. Can all people be rehabilitated? I'm going to have to say no, because here's the deal. Models that rely on absolutes don't work, right? So to say that all humans absolutely are redeemable falls into that category, right? You're going to find somebody who, even if it's through something outside of their control, like rabies or something like that, right? All of those spectrums of things that put people into positions of whatever, I think need to be considered and understood. So yeah, there are going to be some people who just can't participate with the rest of us. And I think those things have to be treated on a case-by-case basis. I mean, if we really want to be compassionate and humane, we need to figure out a way of, I don't know what the answers are. I'm not the guy who has the education or the skill set to deal with those things in that manner, but I believe firmly that compassion is the best way forward. But you're right, there are some people that just are not, they just don't play well with others, right? I mean, I hate to put it in such weird kind of simplistic terms, but, that seems to be the fact of it. Oh, you're Indian. Are you residing in the India, or are you Indian living, as far as a foreign diaspora of Indian? Because, you guys are a lot of people. I think, is India now surpassed China in population? I think that might be the case. I have a lot of fascination for Indian culture, frankly. Both from, I guess part of it got started because of being introduced. I had neighbors that were practitioners of Siddha Yoga. Their guru was Muktananda, and I went to their ashram a few times and did the chanting, and the meditating thing. And I mean, that's how I started my meditation practice when I was in junior high, living next door to these people. And then, of course, Alan Watts, with all that kind of Eastern religion anyway, so yeah, I guess it's really kind of a superficial thing. I won't claim to understand Indian culture, but I find it fascinating. Everything from culture to, the myriad nature of gods in Hinduism, and anyway. Okay, Indian from India, fantastic, man. Well, welcome to the live stream. I hope I'm not being too much of a jerk and kind of signaling you out with that stuff. So if I have offended, I apologize. But welcome here, man. One thing I would really love, it's a bucket list thing for me, is to go to see the Taj Mahal. That seems like it would be a fantastic thing to see in person. I'm sure there are other things as well, but that's the thing that jumps to my mind. Anyway, I'll get off that. I don't mean to single you out. Yeah, you're in deity, especially here in the U.S., right? I mean, there's, to a certain degree, it's a form of slavery here. It's my understanding that for the police and the military, all of things like bulletproof vests and stuff like that are made by prison workers, and it's an oppressive situation, man. It's a really oppressive situation. And out of any advanced, Western society, we kind of have, the most regressive sort of correctional system. At least that's my estimation of it. Anyway, Gus says, yeah, let's get more positive if we may, please. I don't mean to keep getting into, I keep falling into these sort of negative, things, and I don't mean to do that. But so yeah, I'm doing well. I hope you are doing well as well too, Gus. If you don't mind my asking, I've been kind of asking people where they're from, what the weather's like, and that kind of thing. I hope your world is well. And Pranav, am I pronouncing that even close, Pranav? I hope so. And TR09094. I like physics. I am not as educated in it as I would like to be, maybe, but that just means I have to investigate the time. I mean, I did take a course in, like I said, basic physics, so just like Newtonian mechanics is, basically what we were doing. And I like that stuff a lot. And there's times I think I get in a general way, not an ability to do any modeling myself or computations or anything like that, but I think sometimes I get a little bit about, the standard model on the particles and all that. But in truth, I should probably just keep my mouth shut on such topics, because I am woefully lacking, any kind of authority. But I find it all very interesting. Yeah, so I do like physics. And here's the thing. Physics is a really fantastic application of using mathematics as a tool.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's one thing I will give Newton credit for, is him being able to make those, because Leibniz, I actually prefer Leibniz's approach to the math in a pure math sense. But Newton, I think the breakthrough that he really deserves kudos for is putting it together with his mechanics and the modeling that he did with that. He was really, really good at that. Anyway, but there's, the math geek sort of perspective there. Oh, Dylan, man, I'm happy to have you here, but make sure you don't procrastinate too much, man. You don't want to be sitting in the exam room and sweating and going, man, I should have ... You know what I mean? Oh, wow, high energy nuclear physics. Right on, man. So you've got some very advanced understanding of the stuff, well beyond what I do. That's fantastic, man. That's absolutely fantastic. And Gus says, from the south of England. So what parts of the north? I mean, how far north, I guess? Like, I spent some time back in 1985 in West Yorkshire. I really liked that, in a place called Hebden Bridge. And we did use that as, I was there for 2 months. 1 month we stayed in Hebden Bridge. I was with a group of friends. We actually rented a house. It didn't have an address, it had a name. It was called Ashley. It was a fantastic old place. And so we kind of used that as our base for going to visiting, everything from, over to Liverpool and on the coast over that way, and, over more inland and, like Manchester, Leeds, places like that, York. There's other places. I also went and spent a few days in Edinburgh. And then the second month we spent outside of London in a place called East Sheen. And we spent almost all our time there in London. Just because, man, London is a place, isn't it? I really like it. I really, really like London. Yeah, anyway. Well, I hope you're not... I hope you're enjoying the weather, I'm kind of okay with sunny but cold. I like that kind of thing sometimes. You can always put on a layer, put on a jacket or something. TRO or TR094. It's the story is that, and I've said it a gazillion times, but whatever. It started as sort of a flukish thing for my sister's 40th birthday. I just stopped shaving then because we were watching The 300, that movie, and I made some comment about their beards, and I said I could grow a better beard than that, and my sister said, yeah, then do it. It was kind of one of those things, a good-natured ribbing thing. And then so I just decided to stop shaving and just see what kind of beard I could grow. And then I just kind of got to thinking it was kind of cool. I liked it. So, here it is. I mean, I don't really do anything to it anymore. I just let it grow. The same thing with my hair. I mean, since I stopped working. So it's been, obviously more than, I guess it's taken me, well, a year and something to grow this. But, yeah. Anyway, let's see where we're at. Okay. Have you been to central Mexico? You live in San Felipe, Guanajuato. I hope I pronounced that even close to right. And the weather is quite good this time of year. Fantastic. Okay, so when I was in San Diego, I did spend some time in Baja. And I've been to, man, I can't think of it. On the cruise, we stopped in Cabo San Lucas. And then from there, I don't know, maybe we went to Acapulco. Would that be the place that would be the next obvious place to go? And then on a previous cruise, that was on a cruise I did that went through the Panama Canal over to Puerto Rico. So it went through on the west coast, so down Mexico, then Punta Arenas in Costa Rica, and then through the canal, and then to Aruba. I think we did another island, which I'm not remembering, and then to Puerto Rico. That was a really nice cruise. Anyway, on a previous cruise I did was from Houston down to the Yucatan, into Cozumel and the like. So there's, that's the extent of my travel in Mexico. I would love to go travel Mexico more extensively. I mean, I find it to be a beautiful place. I love the food. And my experience of the people is that they're lovely people. That's kind of true about a lot of places, isn't it? But yeah, Mexico is, I would like to travel more in Mexico.
And Gus says, oh, so Newcastle. So Newcastle, is that the area where the people get called Geordie? Is that the right place? Am I thinking of that properly? Now here's the thing, is that a negative term to call somebody a Geordie? Or is that just kind of what people get called? I don't know. I mean, I hear people use it in the light entertainment shows, and it's kind of like they tease people because of the accent is so distinct. But yeah, I don't want to piss people off. But I've never been over to Newcastle. Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, I'd just like to travel more. You know what I mean? It just costs money that I don't have. I look like Santa Claus. Fantastic. I have where is it at? Oh man, I don't see it. Oh yeah, I do. Hang on one quick sec. I will be back. That was good to stand up. Take some decompression off the back a little. Okay, so off the coat rack. So there you go. How's that? I think my sister gave me this. Or maybe it was one of my nieces. I can't remember. But so obviously I wear this at Christmas time. It looks like it's got a little dustiness on it. Here, I'll just take it off. Or is it just the way the light's going? I guess it's just the way the light's going. I guess there's a bit of dust right there. All right. It's sort of I guess it's sort of a cheap velvet velourish type material. But it's fine. It works. It does the trick, right? Ho, 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 ho. I mean, I don't have the belly for it, but, I can do the ho, 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 ho. Am I a professor? No. I mean, that's the short answer. Yeah, I thought about it actually. At one point I was gonna, when I was studying math, my intent was to do at least an MA, and with the idea being that I would teach at community college. But then I realized that I just don't have the mentality to stand in front of a group of people that, that just show up. Because there's so many people at, classes that really don't want to be there. And I came to realize that, what led me to the idea was that I was a tutor for many years. And I was really good at being a tutor. But that's dealing with individual humans in a direct way, and they want to be there, right? They're showing up because they want to get better at doing math, either because they're deficient in it or they just want to, improve their skill set or whatever. But they had a desire to be there. And I found that that's people to work with is good. So I came to realize that I just didn't want to be a teacher, so I stopped that. And then after that is when I got the opportunity to go to the Netherlands for the second time. And then when I came back, I just never picked up any kind of education after that. And that's when I started doing computer programming. So it would have been late 98, early 99, that kind of time frame. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm glad I said it properly. You're in deity. Okay, Gus says that's the place. It's just where people get called from my understanding, but I'm not. Okay, yeah, no, that's cool. As long as I'm not, pissing anybody off. So Danielson Campos, hello from Chula Vista. I was born in Chula Vista. So how's that for a thing, man? Groovy. Although I lived in San Diego after I was born. We didn't live in Chula Vista. That's just the hospital I was born at was in Chula Vista. And initially we lived in, I guess, I'm not sure what you call it. Maybe North Park? I don't know. A part of San Diego. And then after that, we moved to the border of San Diego and Lemon Grove, out a little inland from San Diego State, I guess. Yeah, just a little bit, east of the college. Anyway, oh, cool. Well, good luck with the polynomials, man. And thanks for coming by. It's good to see you. Oh, the story with the glasses. Okay, so they're just cheap, like the kind of thing you buy at a drugstore. Glasses. I have two pair. One of them, I think it's this pair, actually used to belong to my uncle, and I just sort of found, after he died, I was going through his effects because I was the executor of the will, and I found this pair, and they suited me for a particular distance, right? Because my eyes started to go, and I needed reading glasses, but so it was mostly only from about this kind of distance, and these weren't really good for it that much, but they're good for the distance of my head to the computer, and I said, oh, so it'll be useful for that, right? And so I just started wearing them for that. I now actually have a pair of prescription glasses because my vision just got that bad. And they're just old and beat up, and I sat on them once and they got just bent the hell out of shape, and I haven't been able to get them to bend back. So so that they are what they are, but I can use them to sit at the computer. And then I have another pair of glasses that are like perfect for where my recliner is to the monitor screen that I use for TV watching. And and then I have my prescription bifocal glasses that are whatever. So that's the story of the glasses. And I kind of like that they're crooked as well, right? It kind of gives me that it accentuates my eccentric nature. Maybe it isn't the right place to call it North Park. It would have been, I'm trying to think. West of 70th Street, so west of Kensington actually, but kind of near El Cajon Boulevard, west of Kensington, and kind of a good few blocks west of Kensington. So kind of a, sort of lower middle class, kind of neighborhood. At least back in the day it was. I don't know what it's like nowadays. But that's where it would have been. And I did live out near El Cajon. I lived in La Mesa, and then I actually lived in El Cajon for a minute near, right at out near where Grossmont College is, right out by that, just off Fletcher Parkway, in an apartment complex called the Navajo Bluffs. It was like right on the edge there of, I guess that would be La Mesa and El Cajon, wouldn't it? I think that's right. People have asked about the live code breaker. I'm not going to do that today just because I haven't set up the OBS to handle it, and I don't feel like fiddling with all the scenes and things like live in front of everybody right now, just because, I'm a lazy curmudgeon. But I think I will try to do, maybe in one of the future live streams, I'll set it up to do some live gameplay, just because a lot of people have asked about it. Thanks. Awesome. Right, cool. Mercury says, when was the last time you had no facial hair? So again, it was shortly before my sister's 40th birthday, so like 15 years ago this November. That would be the last time I didn't have a beard. And I might trim it to just like get rid of some of this wispy stuff, and maybe I need to trim my mustache just because it's gotten long enough now that it's getting into my drink and stuff like that, and then it drips all over the place. That's why I have to keep using the napkin. So I just need to get off my ass and get out the scissors and trim it off. And I used to trim at the ends to keep the split ends from whatever. So that basically, if you want it to grow long, you need to trim the split ends to keep it. But I've kind of just gotten lazy, and I basically shampoo it, condition it, brush it, and, that's it. It's just hair on my head, basically. It's just this part of the head, So that's about that. It seems a weird thing, but it seems like depending on where I sit, it seems to change the exposure on the automatic aspect of the camera. I wonder what that's like for you guys. I'm going to take the hat off just because it's kind of warm on my head right now. So there we go. Anyway, Mercury, I hope you're not too disappointed that I'm not going to do the Codebreaker live today. But I'll do it next month because I'm going to do live streams once a month. I don't know if I said that again here, but I've been trying to say a lot just so that, as people come in and out, that everybody gets the idea. So whatever the weekend is that's closest to the middle of the month, I'm going to do this sort of 3-stream extravaganza thing. Although I may change the Sunday one because last night both streams had bigger viewership. So I'm wondering if maybe this isn't quite the right time slot. So what do you guys think should be the optimal time slot for Sunday? I think I'll do a kind of a query on the community page. Anyway, Your Deity says I have to put oils and stuff in your beard. I don't get too bad with itchiness. To be honest, I do occasionally put coconut oil in it just because it makes it easier to brush because it's quite long, and so it's sometimes the brush it's like I have to keep going at it to keep it from getting too tangled up. So I find occasionally putting some coconut oil in it helps with that. But otherwise, yeah, I just make sure that I shampoo it when I shampoo my head and I condition it. Actually, I condition it more than I condition the hair on my head. I don't really give a hell about the hair on my head. I mean, I've been thinking about just cutting it off just because, whatever. Yeah, for a while I was having the long beard and, short, buzzed off hair. And I kind of like that look. So I might go back to that. I don't know. Yeah, for some people do have, some people do have an issue in itchiness and stuff with their beard. And I mean, it's my understanding that there's a lot of products out there for, men to, help with those issues. But lucky for me, I just, it's, a pretty low maintenance sort of thing. What was my dream job as a kid? It changed all the time. For a while, I wanted to be a marine biologist. For a while, I wanted to be an astronomer. For a while, I wanted to kind of follow my dad's footsteps of doing computer programming, which I did do for a little while. And then I don't remember how old I was, probably 6th or 7th grade, that time frame. I heard Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix, and then I needed to be a guitarist. I mean, it was just like, bam, okay, that just changed my world, man. Not only did I like listening to him, but it was like there was a thing in it that just made me go, I need to do this. It was, you know what I mean? It was just like a magical switch got flipped in my head. I mean, it just totally changed my world, So, yeah. Any programming jobs I had? Yeah, okay, so the thing I did for the longest period of time was I worked for a company called Docent. And actually I got the job because my dad worked there, and then I met this woman, and he worked in a department that was called Professional Services. So Docent made software that was for creating and distributing educational content online. This was back in, when I started working there, like I said, it was like late 98, early 99, something like that. I think it was late 98, probably like November-ish, that kind of time frame. Anyway, so what Professional Services did is they would customize the software, because if you just bought it, they called it vanilla, right? So if you just bought it out of the box, and it was super expensive. It was like, I think it was like $70,000 or something like that. It was super expensive. But it was a pretty robust tool. But so they also had the Department of Professional Services, which would customize the software for individual companies so that they could have, features unique to their needs. And that's where my dad worked. And I met a woman who worked inside of Professional Services, but in conjunction with sales. The idea being, go out with salespeople and cultivate clientele by like trying to find out what they wanted. And so basically she hired me because I don't remember what I did, but she somehow came to know that I had some, rudimentary programming skills. But I took to what they did pretty easily for some reason. Anyway, so it was just sort of a weird flukish thing. Anyway, so she hired me as a contractor because she had some decision-making power and a budget and that kind of thing. And so what I did for her is I made specific customizations of the tool for her to take to potential clients to say, okay, look, this is what we can do for you, that kind of thing. And so I would do, and it wasn't like full-on robust customizations. It was like just sort of high-level, user interface and some basic functionality changes, just to kind of proof of concept kind of stuff. So that's how I started, and then it went well, and then so I got just a general time and materials contract with them that was just kind of open-ended, and I ended up working on lots and lots of projects for them, sometimes customizing stuff, a lot of time, well, not a lot of times, but a fair amount of times going into, like, so people would buy the software, and then because they had their own in-house, IT department, so they go, oh, we just have our own people, they'll customize it for us. And a lot of times they didn't get how it worked, and they screwed it up. And so I would be the guy that would be sent in to, fix their screw up and make it do what they really wanted it to do, which I got good at. But man, that's a frustrating gig, man, to try to go find somebody else's mistake and fix it. It's just, a lot of times what I ended up doing was finding the offending module, so to speak, and just saying, I'm just going to remove this out of the sequence of things, and introduce, because their stuff was, it was sort of similar. It predated PHP as a robust thing, but it did basically what PHP did. So it was a server-side scripting language thing. And when using, it was a variety of databases we could use, but I found that I liked MySQL the best. And then from there, I kind of got into doing stuff in what was called the LAMP solution, so Linux, Apache, so the Linux operating system, Apache web server, MySQL database, and PHP as a scripting language for doing dishing up stuff that would, go out into the world. So it was all fairly high-level stuff. I wasn't working at, the machine level or anything. So I did that that's what I did basically, yeah, that was my gig. And then I got a DUI, and a headhunter I was working for gave me the bad news that nobody was going to hire me anymore. So it sort of blacklisted me, which sucked. But, so because I was making a fair amount of money, and then suddenly it was like, oh crap, I have to find a new livelihood. And it really threw me for a loop. And then, of course, I leaned into my alcoholism as opposed to, doing something more constructive. And, anyway, whatever. It's been a bad part of my life in that regard. But yeah, so, mostly that's the kind of programming I did. Yeah. I hope that, is enough information. And man, I keep ending up on these downer notes. Sorry about that, you guys. Maybe my head is just in a weird space this morning. I don't know. Oh, but on the final thing I'll say on the programming aspect is that I never was actually an employee for anybody. I always worked as a contractor. So. Which was pretty cool because it gave me some flexibility. I could control my hours. And as long as I met deadlines, it didn't matter. I could work whatever days I wanted, whatever hours I wanted. As long as I, delivered the deliverables, right? That's the thing. Anyway, let's go back to some brushing. ASMR, yeah. Let's use the handle too a little bit. Okay. Okay. Taylor says, do I play Xbox or PlayStation or anything? No, I don't really. Everybody upstairs has, I'm trying to think of what they have. There's Xbox is the Microsoft one, right? And I think my nephew has a PlayStation. I might be wrong in that. Yeah, everybody upstairs is very into gaming, And I think my other nephew is more of a PC gamer than a console gamer. I'm not 100% sure on that though. But everybody upstairs is really, really into gaming. And Nullbytes asks if I do any recreational programming. I haven't in a long time. Actually, the last recreational programming I did is I wrote my own sort of mastermind variation. And I did one a long time ago. This is kind of tangential because it was a long time ago, so it wasn't recent, whatever. But it was using this thing called Visual Basic, which was, basically a Microsoft tool that allowed you to do. It had a lot of built-in, a lot of the routines for having the Windows interface stuff was just kind of built in and easy to use. And then, of course, it compiled down and became an exe. But all that stuff, like, it was easy to do. You just clicked things and it just did it for you. So it was kind of an interesting tool. So I just started playing around with it. I never actually ended up using it professionally, but I just wanted to have it in my back pocket. So, back in the day. And I think, learning anything in programming-wise is good. I mean, whether you end up using it or not is fine. Because it's my belief that once you learn how to program, the language becomes irrelevant. I mean, different languages have different aspects that are useful because of, attributes of it. But the basic logic of programming is the basic logic of programming. So anyway, I made a version of a mastermind using not Quick Basic, but because I had used that way before. The Visual Basic, and it was the variation of it did the colors and positions like that, but it also had shapes. So I made these, weird little, just odd shapes that were kind of oddly geometric and kind of pseudo 3D kind of looking things. Like one of the shapes looked a bit like a jack, like if you play the bouncer ball jacks game. And of course there was just like the basic ones, like a kind of a diamond-ish sort of thing, and kind of like a gemstone cut diamond-ish sort of thing, and then just a spheroid sort of thing, and then just a rectangle sort of cube sort of thing. And I don't remember how many shapes there were. Maybe it was just those 4. I don't remember. So what you had to do is you had 2 scores, one that showed the color and then one that showed the shape. Anyway, but the other one that I did just a few years ago was a JavaScript version. I don't know, maybe I could, I don't know if I don't know, maybe I'll think about doing I've thought about trying to do some weird sort of just uber simple kind of programming thing that would just do something basic and maybe make an ASMR video out of it, or I just walk through what I'm doing and why. That could be kind of maybe interesting and then might be good fodder for ASMR, I don't know. Dazed and Composed is back. Welcome back, man. And I'm doing well this morning. How about yourself? Let's do a little bit more fiddling around with the microphones. Maybe a little brushing. That's good to hear, Dazed and Composed. I'm glad. And again, welcome back, man. I hope people, I just realized, I hope people don't mind. I just kind of use man as a general thing for anybody, you know what I mean? So I'm not trying to, imply any kind of identity with that to anybody, but, it's like I use dude the same way. It used to be, when I was in Southern California, dude was primarily a masculine sort of pronoun-ish thing, right? But then when I moved back up to San Francisco and I was going to San Francisco State, I was an older student, right? Because I was a returning student. I went back, when I first went back, I was like 28, 29, something like that. And anyway, so I made some friends in the math department that were younger women. They were like in their early 20s. And they all called each other dude. So I kind of just developed this habit of just calling everybody dude, you know what I mean? And so dude and man, the man thing comes from my kind of hippie-esque past from the 70s, But so everybody's dude or man, I don't really care, So I don't mean to, offend anybody with something that appears to be a gendered pronoun. But in my mind, it's just stick figure that's devoid of any kind of attributes of any kind, just hey man, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe I think I'm gonna have to throw that into the hopper and roll it around in my head to do the thing anyway. So I'm gonna butcher your name. I hope I don't do it too badly. Is it Morad Salih? I hope I said that okay. Anyway, null bytes. So you could. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be competent enough where I'd be wanting to do rendering fractals from a programming standpoint. I do have a couple of fractal rendering programs. I might fiddle with those just from playing with the interface and seeing what the results are. Because I don't really use them yet. I got fascinated by the idea and went, ooh, fractals, you know what I mean? And so I downloaded the stuff and installed it on my machine on the Pop OS thing because it came from the repository. But I haven't done anything with them. They just kind of sit there, fallow, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I need to do some stuff like that just because people find it interesting and, and once upon a time I had facility both in math and programming, so maybe it's worth, rattling the old noggin and, dusting off some skills maybe. And it might even be cool for me to do it as I'm dusting off the old noggin, right? So you guys could see, development of, oh crap, I don't remember how that works, that kind of thing. And then, anyway, so yeah, it's an idea. All right, cool, Murad, thank you. It's good to know. I'll say of any of the people who have recently joined, is there anybody who hasn't told me where they're from yet and what the weather's like? I don't know why. It just seems like I'm being a nosy guy. Yeah, because I'm bad with time zones. So when you tell me where you're at, if you'll tell me like roughly the time of day it is over there, just because I can kind of have in mind. Because the other thing is I want to do is, how is this time frame for you guys? You know what I mean? Because I'm probably only going to go for, I don't know, maybe less than an hour more because, my back starts to give me grief when I sit for too long. And I can tell it's already going to give me grief, but I think it's fine. I can put some ice pack on it and, recline or whatever. But anyway, but back to the question at hand. Is this a good time frame for all you guys? Because it seems like I have a low, there's not as many people present now as there were last night. And I'm wondering, is that just because it's Sunday, or is it the time of day isn't that great? Okay, you're in Philly, right on. A bit chilly in Philly, huh? Right, yeah, and you guys are 3 hours, right? Wow, okay. Okay. Well, all right, so what would be a good time for you guys that are in the UK or that time zone area? So I guess that would include, just in general, kind of, I guess, Western Europe, right? I mean, because I seem to have a fair amount of viewers from that part of the world. What would be? I mean, tell me where you're at and then what you think would be the best time frame for you, so I could figure out where, because that's the idea. I want to reach the most people, you know what I mean? I want it to be the most enjoyable experience for as many people as I could manage, which is why I want to do the 3, once a month on a weekend, do the middle of the month, do, I'm calling it the streaming extravaganza. Okay, Sly 17, cool. Welcome to the live stream and thank you for the info. Currently there are 14 of you. Oh, Tunisia, right, of course. Oh, thanks, Murad. I'm glad you like the videos. All right, that's, cool that you're flexible. Man, I'd like to go visit North Africa. I'd like to visit Africa in general, but that whole region of, well, from Morocco, yeah, I guess Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, for whatever reason, that, I find very fascinating. It's like I have to win the lottery or something so I can get some travel money, you know. All right, cool. So maybe I'll, well, you know, I think I'm going to do another sort of poll, because I think the nighttime, you know, the Saturday night into the midnight thing, my time anyway. So 9 p.m. my time, and then the second one at midnight my time. That seemed to be a pretty good time frame. So I think I'm going to keep those as is, and then I might just tinker with the Sunday morning one a little bit, just to see what seems to be best for everybody. So I'm wondering if, yeah, I don't know. I think that's what I'll do. I'll put up another poll thing and see what people think. Xerox, hey, how you doing? Greetings from Europe. If you don't mind my asking, which part of Europe? I mean, it's not the biggest continent, obviously, but there's lots of stuff there, right? There's a lot of complex things happening there. Well, I guess there's complex things happening everywhere. From the east side, right on. Eastern Europe, right on. I don't know that I have that many viewers from Eastern Europe. I mean, most of my viewership, according to the stats on YouTube, are US. And I think it goes US, UK, and I can't remember if it's Australia or Germany that's third. My preferred method of using THC. Well, it depends on what I'm looking for. If I'm just looking for, you know, kind of basic casual sort of thing, where I'm just relaxing and listening to music kind of thing like that, or maybe even a small amount of socializing. I don't really do all that much hanging out and partying with people. So I prefer to use the vapey cartridges for that. And if I'm really looking for, you know, kind of heavy duty thing, then it costs me a fair amount of money, but I have to eat a lot of edibles. But you know, I can get a pretty effective experience that way. But it's pretty rare I do that. With the exception around Christmas time, I have a niece. She's also a cannabis user, and she knows a person that's really good at making edibles like candies and cookies and that kind of thing. And those are dangerous though, because you start eating them, and then when it starts, you know, kind of, oh, I'm starting to get a thing, which I mean, I have to eat a fair amount to get, you know, a little bit high, but then it kind of snowballs, and I can get, oh, okay, wait a minute, I didn't intend to get this high, you know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, so vaping or edibles second. I will occasionally smoke flower just because, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, I kind of enjoy it now and again, but that's kind of a rare thing, mostly because I don't want to deal with the carcinogenic combustibles. I mean, I realize it's less in cannabis than it is in, say, tobacco, but nonetheless, combustible materials is where your carcinogens lie, right? Oh, Taylor, thank you very much. Thank you for your generosity. I really, really, really appreciate it, and I'm glad you love the videos. I really do appreciate that. You know, I'm always, you know, a little humbled, and I feel a little, I don't know, I'm not sure I respond appropriately to people's generosity. Yeah, anyway, so all I can say is I appreciate your generosity, and thank you very much. That's really, really cool. So right on, Taylor. Thank you. Okay, so James, oh, you like the Just Breathe one. Good, good, good. I like that. You know, I've had mixed responses from that. One guy I guess it didn't really hit the mark for him, and he, oh, it was all right. I mean, yeah, anyway, so dazed and composed. Well, anyway, I'm glad you liked it, James. That's really good. I'm glad it's successful for you. That makes me happy. I mean, because I want you guys to enjoy them, right? You know what I mean? I think I'm going to try and do more of those. I like the idea of doing the guided relaxation type stuff, and I think my voice lends itself to that kind of thing. So there'll probably be a fair amount of repetitive things, right? Because a lot of the guided relaxations are kind of the same as each other, right? But there is, I think, just having it be a different and new one. You know what I mean? It's sort of like music and songs, right? It's like, oh, it's the same kind of thing, but it's different, a little bit different each time. So I think that might be sufficient to do that. So I think I'm going to try and do more of those. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe as frequently as once a month. I don't know. I'll see if I can manage that. There's the thing, I don't want to get too ambitious about the things I want to do, because like the story time, for example, it is my intent to do the entirety of James Joyce's Dubliners. But I like right now in the one I'm reading, I keep getting stuck on reading it in a way that I find that it's successful. Because I want it to be ASMR-ish, but I also want it to do justice to what he's written, because I really like his writing. And there's a musicality to his writing, and I have a difficult time getting at that when I actually do it, rather than it being in my head as opposed to actually saying it. Anyway, so I have to be careful about getting too ambitious, and I don't want to promise things to you guys and then not come through. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's move on to the other comments. But dazed and composed says homo. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's a cookie that I bought from a place once. I think it was called the 5150 bar or something like that. It was this big kind of brownie cookie thing. And yeah, I did the same thing. I ate too much of it, and I was like, okay. I mean, it was fine. I had a good experience, but it just was like, okay, this wasn't what I anticipated. You know what I mean? So I had to recalibrate my expectations. Curzerone, you're back. I'm not sure what you missed, to be honest. I guess you'll just have to go back through the comments, because I don't know where to even begin with that. All right, on, Gus. That's cool. Good timing then, huh? I'm glad it worked out for you. That's fantastic. All right, just for like a warning for everybody, I think I'm going to end this at about 12:30. I think that's about that'll be my cutoff time for today. So. Just to appropriately set people's expectations. So if you have any burning questions or anything like that, I guess now would be the time to start with them, so that we can get everybody's in. But it seems like this morning has been pretty casual paced. You know what I mean? So that's all right. I kind of like this sound. I hope you guys enjoy it. In the room here, it sounds really nice. Anyway, so does the brushing. Yeah, that's all right. I haven't really been doing very much whispering in this thing here, so here's a little bit of a whisper. And now here's a little bit of a whisper over here, too. Whisper, whisper, whisper. Whisper, 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 whisper. There you go. Wow, that's weird. According to the graph, it looked like at about 11, my viewership dropped to 0. I didn't notice that, so I guess everybody signed off and I guess came back in or something, right? Interesting. I don't know whether it's worth me paying attention to the graphs and stats at all, but I just find it curious. Also, according to the graph over here, the viewership has not exceeded 20 this morning, and I was pretty consistently over 20 last night. So I don't know. Again, maybe I shouldn't worry about that. It's just, it's a weird thing to consider, I guess. I mean, I think the YouTube algorithm would be happier if I, somehow, had more viewership. Although, I'm not sure whether they do or not, because I don't have ads turned on for during the stream. Although, I guess, I don't know, was there ads at the beginning of it? Or is the ads only going to show up when it comes back to replays? I'm not sure how that will go. Anyway, yes, drinking more green tea. You need to get a little bit of a caffeine thing going just because, it was a bit of an adventure last night, right? You know what I mean? So I did get some sleep, but I will be taking a nap when this is done. Just because, yeah, I'm a middle-aged man. Actually, on the note of the green tea thing, I'm going to mute the mic for a minute because I need to go run to the little boy's room. You know what I mean? The caffeine and the tea has made it through my system. So, hopefully that's not, a TMI thing. But anyway, I will be back. Mic is back on. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Curzerone. Killer Croc says, what sort of music am I into? Lots of different types of music. I mean, most musicians like most music, you know what I mean? And there's also different degrees of what you're doing and what kind of appreciation it is. I mean, sometimes there's stuff that I like, and a part of the appreciation is down to what they're doing, like the complexity of it, the musicianship of it, that kind of thing. And sometimes it's just down to just straight up emotional thing, for example, a lot of punk rock is, very emotionally, accessible and like right there in front of your face, right? But a lot of times they're just playing bar chords, in an aggressive manner. But a lot of the rhythms are fairly, what I would call straightforward. But it's still impactful, right? You know what I mean? And then there's the thing, right? Some punk rock I like and some punk rock I don't, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm okay. I like part of the Sex Pistols, but they're kind of a manufactured band. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people like to call them a boy band. Um, I can enjoy some of their stuff. But then there's somebody like the Clash, who are very, very popular. But they're a little more, I guess, true to the spirit of punk in my eyes. And of course the Ramones and stuff like that. Early days MC5 and the like. Um, and there's a lot of bands I know I'm probably forgetting, but and there's a movie that's worth checking out if you haven't seen it, if you're at all interested in kind of the punk scene from back in the day, called The Decline of Western Civilization. And there's two versions of it. One is the punk one, which is the first one, and then they did one a little bit later that was metal, and it was largely, both things were filmed mostly in LA, I think, if I remember properly. But that's pretty interesting. It exposes you to a lot of that time period's punk rock, kind of thing. But then, of course, there's complex stuff too. It's like King Crimson comes to mind, or Return to Forever comes to mind, or Dream Theater comes to mind, right? I mean, there's people that do, where it's complex, and the complexity of it also reveals a certain level of musicianship, right? Oh, and you're mentioning Curzon about black metal. Nice. Nice. So there you go. There's again, metal is one of those things, right? That there's a similar impact to punk rock as far as the aggressive and kind of a straightforward thing. But it's fast, right? Well, I don't know. Black metal is. I'm not sure I fully get all the distinctions between the various types of metal. But metal, yeah, in a general sense, I like metal, and it can be aggressive. But there's also an element that does reveal musicianship to a high degree of complexity. So there's a black metal versus hardstyle. I don't know enough of the subtleties between the things for me to be able to make a competent decision. I am, I kind of don't really pay attention to labels that much. To me, I don't mean to be disrespectful if you're into a particular type of thing, but to me, labels are more useful for, the bin that you're going to purchase it out of. You know what I mean? I know a lot of musicians get into being part of a particular thing, but that's not even just like hard rock or metal or, even rock or whatever. Out of that, that also falls into the world, like say, of jazz. There are people who are just straight, bebop, yeah, you can get into that, or people that are only into cool, or people that are only into, whatever, pick your thing, or only into fusion. Again, I think there's utility in talking about the labels in a sense of your, specifically talking about an evolution of different sorts of, who's influenced by what and what, if you're thinking of it in terms of a discourse kind of discussion. But outside of a thing like that, but those have to be decided upon on the people who are participating in the discourse, doesn't it? But outside of that, I don't know much about labels. So anyway, so you go. I don't know how to pick between black metal and hardstyle. I just don't. A thing that comes to my mind that I do really enjoy is what is that thing that Death Clock, that cartoon TV show? I love that show, man. And I actually enjoy the music in it too. It seems like that they're not doing it in an insulting, joking manner. It seems like it's to me it sounds like it's competent metal. And I love the humor of the show. And clearly they're taking the piss out of some of the i.e. sort of like Metallica, right, with their thing in what was it, in Moscow, when they had that concert that was like 1 million people. Holy mackerel, that's insane. That is just unbelievably insane to me. Yeah, it's crazy. I've never seen Metallica live. I kind of wish I had, but I don't really go to big, loud shows anymore. Yeah, I just don't. I'm trying to think of the last show I went to, actually, that was like, not just some silly local bar thing. It would have been, I took my sister, this is a few years ago, at the, what was it? I think it's called Yoshi's. It's closed now. It used to be down on Fillmore in San Francisco. And I took her to see George Clinton. And it's a reasonably sized, kind of smallish venue. And man, that was a show. Ha ha ha, man. It's the first time I'd actually seen him live. And man, I'm glad that we went. It was just absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. George Clinton is one funky motherfucker. Well, to turn it around on you, Curzon, what if you had to choose? Which would you choose, and what would be like? Why? What is it about? What aspect of it that puts whatever you're into, whether it's black metal or hardstyle? What thing about it that makes it black metal is the thing that makes you like it, or vice versa? If it's hardstyle, what is the? Or would it be a matter of there's one that you like less rather than liking another one more? You know what I mean? I don't know how everybody chooses their things the way they choose their things, whatever. But you know. What choice would you make and how and why? Yeah. Like, for example, I can't bring anybody to mind, but there are fusion bands that I've heard that I found disappointing because they entirely relied on their musicianship to carry what they were doing. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, yeah, you're really, really good, but, you know what I mean? But I find that, bands like Return to Forever and stuff like that, back in the old school fusion days, or the beginning of fusion, let's go back to, Miles Davis and Bitches Brew and things like that, where there's certainly some aspects of musicianship going on that are fantastic, but there's also a lot of musicality. You know what I mean? There's something in there that's, not just showing off, right? You know what I mean? Which is why I don't remember those other bands' names, right? Because it's like, And I tend to like a lot of old school fusion, frankly. I mean, I guess it betrays my age, but and the truth is nowadays when I expose myself to new music, it's online via streaming service type thing, and I don't like in my younger days. I used to, what's the name of that band, and I go try to buy their records and stuff like that. And I don't really do that nowadays. Now I'm just happy to let somebody curate it, and play me things that I would find interesting. You know what I mean? Because I've come to realize there's just so much music in the world. I mean, I get really frustrated with people like, there's a couple of people on YouTube that have made these kind of weirdly culturally conservative things about, why music today sucks. I'm just like, you're an idiot, man. Music today doesn't suck. The things, maybe you don't like the things that you're talking about because what you've exposed yourself to. But the thing, because here's the deal. Bubblegum back in the 60s, do you really think stuff that's, that you would call superficial and whatever is really that much more superficial than bubblegum back in the 60s? Come on now. Every era has stuff that a lot of people will go, and then there's all sorts of stuff where people will go, wow, look at that, I think now the issue is that the world has become so complex because of the way we can communicate now online that there's just so much stuff available, right? That's the thing with me, right? So there's just so much stuff available. I don't feel like I can invest the effort into like trying to keep it all straight. I'd rather just go, you know what? I just want to be exposed to things that I dig and enjoy it as I'm digging it. You know what I mean? So I'll get into moods where I'll like go, I want to listen to fusion today, or I'll go, I want to listen to some, kind of progressive thing. Or sometimes I'll go into the Spotify thing and I'll just say, what are new releases or something, just to hear what's, going on. And like that. But anyway, Curzon, he would pick electronic alternative hardstyle, bass percussion lasers and naked people. Yeah, right on. Okay, cool. Yeah, that all sounds fantastic, So Samuel says, I find it hard to have a favorite, just things I like and dislike, music as an example. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of the thing. I'm more interested in, what kind of experience am I getting from it, you know what I mean? Especially as a musician, right? Because there's different ways I listen, right? Sometimes I'm listening and I'm kind of, oh wow, that the guy's doing something interesting. And I am kind of focused as a musician on what the musicianship is doing. And there are some times, that I want to listen to something, that's harmonically sophisticated, and there's other times I want to listen to something that's just sort of, like Leadbelly, right? That's just direct, right? And it's a dude sitting with a guitar. And, Leadbelly, I mean, if you haven't heard Leadbelly, go. Or Robert Johnson, a very, kind of similar vein. It's just a dude with a guitar singing the blues, man, and it's, yeah, man, that gets to things, right? You know what I mean? So music can be successful in a variety of ways, and I'm more interested in what's the experience and what do I get out of it as a human,
I don't know. It's, the hippy-dippy nature of my existence, I suppose. Excuse me. I have to remember to back up from the mics more when I do that, because it looks like it got into the red a little bit there. It doesn't look like it clipped, but it got into the loud zone, man. And I'm not a fan of the loud zone. There's some people. What do you guys? Have you guys had this experience, and what is your attitude towards it? There are some people that the loudness level that they put on their YouTube videos is really super extreme, and like I have to dial back the volume level on the YouTube player because it becomes distorted as it comes out, especially when I do it on the TV thing over there, because I'm just using those speakers when I'm watching that. And I really find, like, why are you making it this loud? Because you had to have done that on purpose when you're doing the mix or the editing. You know what I mean? Because if you had gain levels set like that on the mic directly, it would be clipping all over the place. So why are you running your gain stages that way to get it that loud? I mean, there's times people have complained about my, gain staging because I listen to what's in here and it seems okay to me. And then people are like, oh, it's a little, they can't quite get what they want out of their headphones. And part of that's going to be the headphone technology and, the amp that's driving your headphones. And, but, anyway, so I try to be mindful of, making a good, what I would say, because there are levels that are kind of standard that, the recording industry is kind of, oh, here's what the best level for this is, that kind of thing. And I try to kind of adhere to that. Sometimes I miss the mark, but anyway, so tinderchat.com, adult chat, peace signs, adult chat, check, heart, female sign, smiley, smiley, peace sign, female sign. All right, cool, I guess, What is, is tinderchat.com strawberry adult chat all the name? Is that like just a really long name? Oh, it's a bot. How do you get bots out? I don't understand how to do a filter for that. If somebody could advise me where to look to turn that off. I mean, I'm happy to get peace signs and hearts and stuff, and I don't care about, females they're humans, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, all right, that's frustrating. Well, thank you, Lane. How do you ban it? I don't know how to do that. I'm going to have to look into how I do those things. Because that just seems annoying to me. So I'll look into what the functionality for that is before the next stream, so I can set that up so I just don't get bots. I'll have to figure that out. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, hover over them and the 3 dots and ban. Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a 3 dot thing over here. Oh, there we go. I see. Thank you. Thank you. Boink. So report. Should I report it, or should I just hide user from channel or remove it? I guess I'm just going to try removing it. Let's just start with that. And if it keeps coming back, I'll do the hide thing. Remove. All right, so is it gone now? Is that, have I successfully removed it? It looks like from this end it's been reviewed, or removed, or deleted, or whatever. Oh, okay, I wonder, can I add that to the thing? Let me do this. Hide user on this channel. Is it enough that I just did it once for that? I'll see if that's, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you guys for setting me straight on how to do that. I appreciate the help. And Bajovi, if I said that even close to right, that's an unusual handle as far as, a lot of eyes on the end there.
Okay, so we got about 15 more minutes before I'm going to call it quits. So I've been here since 9, and that's, a fair amount of time. Yeah, 3 hours and 15 minutes so far, yeah. So any last minute inquiries or statements or anybody, as long as you want to share anything, I'm cool with that. Just, be mindful of the vibe, man, Oh, we're up to 17 now. Cool. I hope those of you that have come in late aren't going to be too disappointed that I'm, going to be going away. Jordan Harris, yeah. I'm going to stream every month. I'm going to do a stream extravaganza, right? You know what I mean? So I'll be doing 3 streams. The night ones are pretty well set up. So one of them will be 9 p.m. my time, or I guess 6 p.m. my time is what I did yesterday. Yeah, 6 p.m. my time, and then midnight my time, and then something on Sunday morning. I might tinker with the timing on Sunday morning. But yeah, that's what, whatever the weekend is that's closest to the middle of the month. So whatever is like, that's, nearest the 15th or something like that is where I'm going to be doing it. So once a month I'm going to be doing, the 3 stream thing over a weekend. Yeah, so there is that. And Murad says, do I still play backgammon? I don't really, maybe I should. Maybe that's the thing. I should find out where I can play the computer kind of thing, and maybe incorporate that into gameplay as well. Once upon a time, I was really, really good at backgammon. Yeah, I was, like I could beat most people. You know what I mean? Of course, there's always the thing about the dice, right? If you get bad dice, you get bad dice. Sometimes it's just, if somebody's rolling lots of doubles and you get crap, then what are you going to do? Anyway, so I don't play many board games anymore, but I used to like board games quite a bit. Like Clue, I really like Clue, or I guess in the UK you call it Cluedo. I'm not a big fan of Monopoly. I used to play Risk with some friends. That was kind of fun. I don't know that I was terribly good at it. Actually, I wasn't, but it was a fun thing to play. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question sufficiently enough, Murad. Samuel Houston says, I like animals. My favorite king since I was young was monkey. Spider monkey was my favorite. When I was a kid, and my family lived up here in the San Francisco Bay Area, but my grandparents, both on my dad's side, my mom's side, lived in San Diego, and we used to go down and visit. We would usually stay with my mom's parents, but San Diego Zoo is like quite a zoo. Anyway, they used to take us there pretty much every visit. We would go at least, to the San Diego Zoo. And they had a spider monkey enclosure. And man, yeah, they're fun to watch, aren't they? They're just crazy. And very, very animated and doing stuff and swinging around in the trees, and it's crazy, crazy cool to watch them. Yeah, monkeys are pretty rad, aren't they, Lane? Yeah. Okay, so Curzerone, nice to see you. Next time out to bed. Okay, well, have a good night's rest, man. And yeah, I'll see you next month, I hope. Right? Right on. Thanks for showing up. I really, really do appreciate it. It's good having you guys here. Otherwise, what am I doing? I'm just a dude talking into a microphone. That's just silly. So Jordan says, I guess the longer the game and the more the dice rolls matters. Yeah, that's the thing, right? The dice actually do affect the thing, but if the dice play out as you would expect dice to play out, just because of the odds, then the better player will win. You know what I mean? That's just the way it goes. But yeah, man, I haven't played a lot. I used to play, at parties, like house parties, sometimes people would have, like, there'd be these, I lived in San Diego in particular. There'd be like these all-day parties, sometimes a band would play. And usually, there was this one girl that had some parties that were really fun because her parents had a really nice house and they had a pool in the backyard and sort of an area that was a patio that was kind of big. So either the band I was playing in or one of my friends' bands or whatever would be able to, play just, a short set basically because, it's a residential area, so you can't be too rambunctious. But we'd do that and then, be barbecuing and people swimming in the pool and all that. And then they had a little den family room area, and they had a couple of backgammon boards. And so I would, go sit in there with some beer and, drink beer, and people would come play me, and I would just sit there and, just beat the people. I just sit at the table and go, next. It was a lot of fun. But, I don't know if I could do that anymore. Just 'cause I haven't played in so long. You miss. You have to be able to pay attention to the details and think about where you're at and what the points are doing and all of that. But I could probably recultivate the skill set, I hope. But I also used to like to play cribbage a lot. I quite like that. For a while, I was trying to learn to play bridge. I was never the best at arriving at a good contract. I was fine with, if I was the one doing the playing, I was usually pretty good at, being able to use dummy to get at the contract, assuming we arrived at a decent contract. And I was also pretty good at sometimes thwarting people, on the defense. So I was good at playing the tricks, but I was crappy at getting the right contract. So that was frustrating. So Murad, oh, okay, cool. All right, cool, Murad, that's cool. That'll be good. So we're at about 9 minutes from shutdown. So if anybody has any last minute stuff, now would be the time, man. Okay, Taylor, I guess I'll see you next month. All right, cool. Yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And Tobias Gunther finally made it. Well, you're making it right at the end, man. I'm going to be shutting down in like 8 minutes because I've been here since, for 3 hours, 3 hours and 23 minutes so far. So I need to get my back a rest and also collect out on some sleep because, I didn't get enough last night. So I'm going to have some lunch and take a nap after this. Right on, Dazed and Confused. Peace to you, my friend, and I will hopefully see you next time. Oh, right on, Samuel. Yeah, Tobias, it's like is it that this time was I just started too early? Because there's the thing, I'm not sure what the right time is. I mean, I'm pretty much set on, Saturday night into midnight. I think those two are going to stay more or less the same, 6 p.m. and midnight. That seems like a good, because it gives me a little bit of time for a break, between them. But I'm not sure what to do for Sunday morning, I don't know, is 9 too early or? I mean, I need to have it. I don't know if I'd want to do it much earlier than that because I think I need more than a 3-hour rest between the midnight one and that Sunday morning one. I just don't think that's enough. I think I need to, the earliest I think I could do it would be 9. But again, I want to reach the largest number of folk. I'm going to get better at announcing this stuff, you know what I mean? Making sure that I schedule them. As a matter of fact, I think I'll just, later today, I'll schedule next month's. Well, actually, I'll schedule the Friday and the Saturday, or the Saturday and the midnight one. So I guess Sunday, midnight. And then I'll put up a survey on the community page on my channel, and then I'll point to that on my Facebook page to get people's input as what would be the best time. Anything after 9 a.m. on Sunday, what would be the best thing for everybody. Okay, Jordan, that's good to know. I'll just have to see. Hey, Space Cowboy, man, you're late. I'm going to be ending here pretty soon, just in like 6 minutes. Glad you got here, though. Okay, so you're okay with the general time frame. It's just this particular stream didn't line up for you. Okay. So yeah, I'll make sure I put up either later today. Well, I'll do the scheduling of the next, Saturday 6 p.m., Sunday midnight later today, and then I'll try to remember to do the survey stuff today too. But yeah, I think I'm going to get better at using the Facebook, etc., and maybe posting like the thumbnails on Instagram just to try to reach people. That's all right, man. You need to do what you need to do as far as the Workspace Cowboy, but well, and dude, you're pretty consistent. You show up, so groovy. Thank you for being here, man. One thing I think I'm going to do is for the next stream, because so many people asked about doing a certain amount of live gameplay, I think I'll set up a thing in OBS so I can have, because there's a means of doing multiple scenes, right? So you could move through things. And so I'll set one up that I can have share a window for gameplay, and then I can kind of just do regular this kind of stuff as this is, and then click to the other one, because I'm pretty sure I can just do it at will, live. I've never done that before, but it's my understanding that that's part of what OBS will allow me to do. So I'll try to, to work that in, just because people seem to be interested in that happening. Plus, if I share it as a window, and just have the window be a browser, right? Then I can, do any number of things online that way. You know what I mean? So it leaves me a certain amount of flexibility. And I could even do live searches for things that people want to make suggestions, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm going to do that for next time. Anyway, okay, so Jordan says, okay, that's good. Okay, cool. Glad you like that idea, Tobias. I think that's a good thing. Yeah. I hope that will work well for everybody. Because then I can go back and forth, right? If it gets, if I get bored or unhappy or whatever, I don't know if unhappy is the right word, but if I feel like, okay, that's enough gameplay, I can switch back and then, that kind of thing. Here's the thing that just popped into my mind here at the last minute. I'm wondering how I might do, where I could have somebody else on, you know what I mean? I don't know, like a guest or something like that. I don't know how that would work. I'll look into that too. I mean, I don't know whether I'll actually do that or not. It just popped into my head. So it's not a promise. It's just a thing that's rolling around in my head. Okay, guys, I will see you next time around. Thanks for being here. I appreciate that. It's really cool that everybody's been here. It makes it all the worthwhile that you guys are here and enjoying it. maybe try to think of some other stuff I could do as far as just, live ASMR, instead of just relying on just the brushing. Maybe I need to work on my tapping and the like. And, oh, I forgot about the crinkling. I got, well, there's only a minute left, so I won't bother with it now. So bye everybody, I guess, as, we're coming down on the, near the end here. Last few seconds, so I guess I will at this point just say, aloha siblings, it's been a great time. I hope to see you guys next month, and yeah, much love.